Hey Naveen, is that you joining us from Headstreams India?
Yes.
Okay, hello. Hello.
Let's rename myself one second.
Okay, let's just give a few more minutes for other to join in and then. Okay, I think most of the people who wanted to attend are around. There's probably Daksha's folks joining in, but I guess they can join. So hello everyone. So I think this will be much less, what do you call, webinar sort of thing, and we'll keep it engaging. So I thought let's do maybe a roundtable for, the way we'll run the cohort will be like, we'll begin with sort of understanding how and where you started thinking about two-way communication, how you see it running for your organizations. Some of the examples that we are seeing how NGOs are using it, some of the good cases, right? Use cases, and then we'll probably deep dive into the glyphic features, walk you through those. We'll review the flows that some of the NGOs have already created. We'll just try to answer some of the questions in the beginning, right? So that is sort of the agenda for day one. And on day two, we will walk you through what's our business API, what are some of the terminologies, and some of the features available. Yeah. Anybody saying anything? Okay. So, and some of the best practices on creating flows, collecting data, right? How to structure the flows, and then on day three we will uh, run the program from end to end, like starting from messaging from a contact and then seeing it on your dashboard and seeing the data analytics also. We'll connect your BigQuery and Data Studios, right? So a lot of the final details will get covered on day three. Okay. Any questions so far? Awesome. So let's get started. Hi, Selena. Let's do a roundtable, and I think it'll be great if you just talk a few about your organization's use case for a few minutes and how you thought of using it. I believe we've done it, but probably for familiarity for everyone else, and just to get the cohort to know each other. I think if you can just unmute yourself and um, talk a bit about so you can just talk about like how you started, how you thought about using two-way communication, how you think this can impact your programs. Over to you folks. Sure, Brenda, go ahead.
Hello everyone, good morning. This is Priyanka Dandekar and I am from Save the Children India organization. So it's head office in Mumbai, and we have like under Save the Children India there are different programs that run. Out of which under disability program we have Dhwani Early Intervention Center for Hearing Impaired Children from 0 to 3 years of age. So we have been working in the early intervention program, which is a direct intervention implementation program, but we were not really into community outreach program, public health program. So we have started working on that, where we would be doing hearing screening in the community, also creating awareness in the community about hearing health, ear hygiene is another motto behind that. So when we got to know about this platform during this pandemic, our that community outreach program is not yet started. So what we thought that we could two-way communication can happen between the beneficiaries and us, through which we can at least make them aware about ear hygiene things and when to approach any medical professional regarding their child's ear and hearing care, and what kind of precautions they need to take. So all those things we can communicate with them through this platform. So this is where and also this is a new thing, we have never done this unlike other maybe organizations where a community program was not there at all. So yeah, we are really excited to be here. I have Shweta from M&E department with me.
Yeah. Hi. This is Shweta, and as Priyanka said, I'm working as I'm monitoring and evaluation officer, and currently in our organization, we are having Excel-based MIS for all the verticals. So it's really excited to learn WhatsApp-based MIS and data collection through WhatsApp messages. So looking forward to learn new thing.
Awesome. Hey, you mentioned these are like you're targeting it for children from 0 to 3 age. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who are the primary like people who you'll be their parents, right? You'll be
Parents,
interacting with their parents.
expectant mothers,
Okay.
mothers who have just delivered a baby. So those would be target people, and yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. All right. Maybe we can have the next NGO talk about it. Siddhi, do you want to go ahead? Hello. Can you hear me? Hey, Siddhi, do you want to go ahead and talk about your NGOs? What you hope to achieve from two-way communication, and how did you begin on this journey? Oh, okay. All right then. We can have maybe Divya. You wanna go ahead?
So I hope I'm audible. It's raining very heavily here as well, so there's a lot of
Oh,
disturbance, and that's why my video is a little off. Am
okay.
I audible? Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, Abhishek. Good morning, everyone. So to give you a little context of where we are coming from, Civis is a non-profit organization. The work that we do is rooted in a particular policy that the government of India came out with in 2014, It is called the pre-legislative consultation policy. It essentially implies that whenever any draft law or policy has to be finalized, it has to be first put out to the citizens of the country for feedback. And there is adequate time given to people to give their feedback. This feedback is then passed, is supposed to be taken by the government, and this is the process that is ideally supposed to be followed whenever any new law is coming into being. What happens usually is that a lot of us are not aware of this process, or even if we are aware, we aren't sure about how do we access these laws, how do we access these, they are called as consultations, how do we access these public consultations, and how do we submit our feedback. So what Civis does is that it aggregates all these different laws and policies which have been put out by different departments, ministries on its website, and it enables anyone to read it in a very simplified format, a summarized version which is easy to understand the law, and submit their feedback on the platform, which is then which is then shared with the government, the respective department or the ministry of the government, once the deadline is over. So currently Civis has a website which facilitates this. We have also done on-ground consultations wherein in-person discussions have taken place and the feedback has been collected in person to share it. Now, one point which has been on our mind since the beginning has been that the, the policy, the PLCP as it is called, is not exclusionary to anyone. It is supposed to be inclusive to each and every person in the country, which means that even if I don't have access to internet, or I don't have an understanding of English or law, I should still be able to share my feedback. And not everyone in the country is going to be comfortable with accessing a website at every point in time. So we have been toying with different mediums and possible ways by which we can collect this feedback and share with the government. And one of the thoughts that had been on our mind since long was to look at WhatsApp as one mechanism for doing so. Because we have been having we've been having discussions with, we call them citizens. They are those who are registered on our website. We have been having these discussions with them to understand their thought process better. And one thing that stood out in these conversations was that people preferred WhatsApp over a lot of other social media channels because it is a little more easy to understand. It's closed, it's a little more private, and people feel comfortable sharing their opinions with their their peers and their network within WhatsApp itself. So the thought is that along with different interventions like the website itself, if we can use WhatsApp, by which I can the entire draft law policy can be read by somebody on their phone, read the questions that we want them to respond to on the phone itself, and submit their feedback. They don't necessarily need to go to the website. So just by accessing a complete WhatsApp chat, the entire process can be completed. So this was on our mind since long, and I think we were just fortunate that this particular opportunity came at the right time, and it kind of fit the use case that we had in mind. So currently we do not have such a facility enabled. So Abhishek, it's like this is the brief idea that we have in mind, but we're very keen to understand your views and how this can be made simplified, and what are the different other ways as well that we can leverage WhatsApp in this aspect. So yeah, this is basically the flow.
Excellent. I think that's a that sounds like a good use case and something that matches with what you can explore with WhatsApp. So they were like, what was the maybe just to understand how the website thing worked for you, and what were some of the analysis, insights, and observations you took away from there, like in terms of engaging people.
Right. So there are different features on the website. So maybe at some point, I'll be able to share the screen with you as well and take you through the flow. So
Okay.
when one goes to the website to a particular draft law, there is a summary which we have published. It's a simplified, shortened version of the entire policy, easier to understand for someone who even does not understand law. And what we have observed is that along with this, there are a couple of questions. Sometimes there's only one question. Sometimes there are multiple questions. Uh, it all depends upon what the content of the policy is. And at times, Civis has also partnered with government agencies like the Niti Aayog. It depends upon what information they are looking at gathering. So there are different permutations and combinations of questions that we put together. And there is also a satisfaction rating that we kind of allow people to give, which is given, which is basically indicating their overall satisfaction on the consultation. Along with this, there's also an option of using something called as a public response. Now, when I go on the website, I have an option of making my response anonymous, or I have my option of making my response public. In anonymous, nothing is displayed on the website, my name nor my response, nothing is seen. In case of a public response, only my first name is seen. I have an option of using somebody else's response as my own if it agrees with my thought process. And I also have an option of upvoting and downvoting responses, public responses. We have observed in the past that people enjoy, or rather not, I would say enjoy, but people are, it's easier for them to respond to multiple choice questions, which are, maybe just a pick that they have to make as compared to writing elaborate responses. And there is also one set of people who really enjoys writing elaborate responses because it helps them express themselves better. So it's basically a mix of these two type of questions that really engage people. Having the option of using a public response has worked great because a lot of times people are not able to articulate their thoughts. So they can kind of see somebody else's thoughts, kind of use it, edit it how they want to, and then submit it as their own. It just saves them a lot of time and energy. That has worked great. And also what has really worked also as time is we have started it's been over 6 months now that we have also started publishing summaries in Hindi. So that also helps because those who want to, eventually at some point, this will be expanded to more regional languages. But having Hindi as another accessible summary also has made a big difference. We also have a feature wherein the consultation can be shared by those who come on the platform on social media. This includes Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, WhatsApp. And again, here people have told us in the past that some of them are there who don't want to necessarily write something, but want to share it on social media. So these are the different ways by which people have been engaged on in the platform. There is also another feature, which is a discussion board, wherein anyone can go and just start a discussion thread on the topic, and people can comment, and there's just like a normal discussion can go on the consultation. This is again something which we would like to improve the engagement with, and there have been some people who said that they enjoy having these kind of discussions. So it's a mix of these, all these are different features, and there are different types of people who kind of enjoy different types of features. So it's like a mixed thing.
Okay, makes sense. And I think that's a good use case, and it'll definitely support the entire program. We can move on to the next NGO. Naveen, do you want to go ahead, or if Tarini is speaking? Yeah.
Hi, good morning. Good to hear about all the different programs and how we can use communication for this. We have been working with children and youth in government schools in rural areas, and our intervention model was directly in the government schools. So in the last year, with the whole lockdown and schools not really opening up, we were looking for ways to reach out to children in the community directly, not through the schools, but in the community. And we did a lot of exploration, reached out to volunteers to help us with this, but uh, using WhatsApp, because we found that around over 60% of the users had access to a mobile with WhatsApp in their houses. So we said, because it was getting expensive to print out worksheets and distribute, and logistics of whole distribution was becoming a problem. So we wanted to try using WhatsApp to reach out to them, but we were not able to set it up at that time. So then what we did was we created a whole course module on Moodle using the free version, and we put up our courses there and trained community volunteers to access those Moodle courses. We created a login. But what we found was for each person who had to enroll, we had to come to, because many of them didn't have email IDs. So then we had to give some dummy email ID and create user login and password and then send it. So the whole turnaround time was really long. And in that process, you also lose people because people want to enroll at that time and learn. And if you're not there, if they don't have access at that time, many of them then move on to other things. So we were looking for something where things could happen in real time. And also for us, around 5,000 users had registered. The whole logistics of maintaining that, using Excel sheets and Google Sheets and Google Forms was getting difficult for us. So we were on the search for something like this. So even for us, it came at the right time. Where where we want to set up something automatically and spread the number, and so people can register online and get started with the course without our intervention. So for this cohort, what we are planning is to pilot one program as part of it, to learn from that experience and then see how we can expand to other things. We also work with youth on career guidance and finding meaningful vocations. And so there are lots of programs in the community which we have, for which we see a potential use. So we want to pilot with a program with an English learning course, spoken English learning course, which we hope to set it up during these 3-4 days. And my colleagues Tarni and Selena also here with us today.
Anything Tarni and Selena want to add to this?
Naveen covered everything, so I'm good.
Yeah, nothing. I'm good.
Okay, I think it's really interesting to hear the challenges that you're solving, Naveen. And similarly, like for other NGOs, they have their own set of challenges in running the programs, whether it's COVID or mediums, the right mediums to reach. So I think it's good to hear, and hopefully we'll be able to solve them through this platform. Just a quick pause for welcome, Bharat. And we are just going, doing a round table to understand from each NGO, like how they came to Glific or WhatsApp as a medium to use, run their program, and what they hope to achieve. Aniket, do you want to go ahead?
Yes. So hi, I'm Aniket. I work for Elm Sports Foundation. As an organization, we work in two main domains. One is physical literacy, where we work in government schools to improve the quality of physical education and health in children, as well as high performance, where we work to with the long-term goal of getting more medals for India in the 2028 and subsequent Olympics. So the place where we are looking to use the WhatsApp API primarily is in the physical literacy and physical education space where we are working in. The idea that we have, the thing that we realized is one of the points. I'm not sure people are aware of the Diksha platform, which is run by the government for, it's like an online portal for all the teacher material. It could be videos, documents, everything. But one of the big issues which we have realized is the navigation through it for a teacher to get what exactly they are looking for. For all subjects, the reason it is easy is they have textbooks with a QR code on it, which a teacher can scan. It takes them to that page on Diksha. The major difference with physical education is no textbook as such exists for a teacher to have something on hand to get access to this data quickly. So either they have to go and start putting all the filters to reach that place. So what we would like to do is, through a WhatsApp API, run a kind of a virtual call center type of a thing, where they come in, they know which class they want to go to, what kind of a lesson plan they are looking for, what are they trying to implement, what are they trying to do with the child. So they are easily accessing that information and comes directly to their phone. Also, considering the network and all that. We do not want them to log on to multiple apps. So one would be the Diksha app. Say ELMS has different content which is not on the Diksha app. So then they have to go to another app. So that will just add the number of layers. Rather, what we were hoping is that we are able to give them either the direct links, or in case of a PDF, a lesson plan or something, the direct lesson plan can also reach them as and when required. So that is the overarching idea of why we wanted to have an automated chatbot for this. Abhishek, I think you're on
Oh,
mute.
sorry. Yeah, sorry. So thanks, Aniket. Maybe we can hear from Bharat next.
Oh, I joined late, so I'm still getting oriented.
Yeah, so
But we finished
yeah.
with the Gupshup onboarding, Facebook registration verification that is done. We are having some challenges with our number because we run a helpline on it, and we are not able to receive an SMS. So we are not able to figure out how to get that OTP for WhatsApp Business API registration.
Okay.
So we are trying to work this out with our helpline so that we can receive SMS. They've given us a package for SMS, but apparently incoming is not there. So we have to still figure that out.
Okay, cool. Do you want to also talk about the use case that Dakshas wants to run, and how you arrived at WhatsApp, and what do you hope to achieve next, and how it fits with your program?
So we've been using this, a helpline from 2018, but now it is becoming impossible to manage these things manually. And we are hoping to deploy a lot of technology, especially chatbots, to do a lot of our routine work, including we have at the back end already built our decision trees into it. So that part is already done. So most of our conversation will be transferred to the bots. And we will only, the manual intervention will be only the final decision making. So the bot structures we've already built. So for the medical advice that we give, most of the decision will be embedded into it. That's how we want to use it, because otherwise we will not have the capacity to handle the calls that we will get. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for sharing, everyone. I hope we've covered anyone. Is anyone remaining? Okay. So thank you all for sharing. And I think that's what it really is for. So how you're thinking about two-way communication is, where you need to send the message across, and this program, generally belong to education, literacy, healthcare, like, all of you are already planning it. So these are some of the good use cases that align with the program, and the extent of two-way communication really is where you want to, learn from the users about their feedback, about their pain points, and where even the geography that they belong to. So make the communication really rich by sending media messages, including video, including audio and files. And then two-way communication also, like moving this whole WhatsApp ride. This WhatsApp movement has enabled us to, make the interaction with the audience really interactive. So it's become a lot more engaging, as opposed to what it was in SMS, where there were a lot of dropouts and things like that. But with WhatsApp, those challenges are a bit less. You measure what are the behaviors of the users. You see the change over time. And then you basically you leverage multiple languages. So all the regional languages that you want to support, you can uh, configure your program in all of those languages, and you can scale it to different geographies. So and so basically, like, when we start, and when build on top of the programs, I think the best way to go about will be that you create a small program, you run it, then you keep iterating on it based on, let's say, the measurement metrics that you set for yourself or for your organization. You see how the platform is performing, where people are getting dropped off, um, and in general, like what is the engagement rate of your programs. So that enables you to, on the go, like in real time, change your programs, update them, and get the engagement back with the people. You can receive instant feedback, like when you share information, when you share some of the actionable resources and materials, you can understand from them, did it help them out, or how it basically impacted them through their responses. So in that sense, I think there can be like various ways of how you want to structure the programs. And in general, like we ask NGOs to think about their use case, focus more on how what are the processes that you want to solve, and then we'll apply it in those areas. So rather than going from the features approach, like this is the feature and then let's apply it, to thinking more about the processes and what we want to achieve, and then let's think about the features and how we can apply them. So the and the good way to scale your programs will be when you pilot it, you iterate it, you let's say you start with 30, 40 people, because how they ultimately respond to your, and many of you, will have experience of interacting with your contacts. But like when you move to this platform, you want to see and explore how exactly the conversations are happening. What is the turnout rate? So you want to deploy it with 30, 40 contacts, and then scale it up to, let's say, 100, 1,000. And then even if you want to go further, then I think it's a good time to go forward from there. So that cycle of piloting, iterating, deploying it to a larger scale um, will make your program a lot more effective over time. And that's what I think we'll cover, and we'll discuss how to go about that. And then the other thing to notice will be, like any other content, delivery mechanisms, even this platform will need you to keep thinking about how your content is being received um, by the audience, right? Like if you want to, if the challenge is on engagement, then we need to figure out how the content needs to be updated. Um, Yeah, and along with the measurements and improvement metrics, like when you have the dashboards, you will be able to figure out like exactly where things are, where things need to be improved. Okay, so and then the last thing on using the two-way communication and really expanding it to the way you want to, leverage its benefits is, if you have, let's say, if you have tech teams, or if you have a support of organizations, then you can even build on top of it, right? So there is an example of an NGO called Re-Benefit. So they recently ran a program for COVID patients to, provide them all the information about beds and about the services that they needed. For that, they also integrated Google Sheets into the platform. So they built those webhooks, they built those, and they enhance the system further, and leverage on the existing capabilities to add more features to it, and they did it quite nicely. Um, so I mean, those are some of the ways that if you have opportunities, if you have use cases that you want to extend it further, by all means, you can do that, because the technology and the platform is quite scalable. And yeah. So just to cover some of the experience from any questions anybody has so far? Okay. So just to talk about the use cases a little bit more, I think so far, I mean, what I've heard from you all, it's a good use case, and the way you've arrived at it is so, it aligns and fits with Glyphic. But just to give you an idea of what other NGOs have been doing so far is, there's this organization called We Unlearn. You might have already heard us talk about it, but they recently ran their pilot program with 1,000 students, where they would send course material every day. And they used simple, YouTube videos where they had actually uploaded their content. So where they had uploaded their content. So they would just send out these, YouTube videos every day for the 2 weeks, and they would then measure, okay, what is the change, like how. And they also had this baseline survey. So before they started the program, they would test it out. Okay, what is the understanding of these students regarding gender and bullying and all of that, and their social structure as well. So they created that form, and then they would run that program for 12 days. And then at the end of it also, they ran a endline survey, and then they measured how exactly the students' behavior sort of changed over this. I know 12 days might be a bit, small, but it's a good enough time for us to test out, how users are learning the new things. And that literacy program, that awareness program is a good use case for running. Similarly, there is the Apprentice project for, who is running their education at home programs. So they cover a lot of topics like coding, arts, all of that, and then they send activities to the students and education materials every day. They have created their automated flows in such a way that they can go and update it from time to time as per the they want to send in new material, so they can update their flows easily. Um, so that's what they have been doing, and they've been running it quite nicely. Over the past 4 or 5 months, they've been able to scale it further to 3,000, 5,000 students, and they're planning to expand it further. So that is the, again, in the education, but even in healthcare, like I was talking to this person from WHO, and they have been running their WHO has been running, programs such as on TB, tobacco cessation. So it turns out that disseminating these information pieces and healthcare advices is a good use case to run on WhatsApp, because again, like you're all already planning for those, but when it comes to healthcare, these are some of the good examples and use cases to run. Great. So any questions on anything that I've covered so far, and how you see the platform being used in the future now? Anything else? If not, then we can go into reviewing some of the conversation flows that we received, and then talking. Yeah, Priyanka, you have a question?
Question in the sense, I have made that case flow and that flow chart, but I think it's not that fine tuned, and the way, so maybe going ahead, I would do that. But then once I get the idea कि end to end कहाँ से कहाँ तक वो exactly होना चाहिए, all those things, so a bit of confusion there, but raw structure is ready. So that should be fine, right?
Yeah, great. So what we'll do next is we'll go over some of the flows that have come in. Maybe we will start with the head streams and the conversation flow they've created. That might give you some idea on how to go about it. And then there are also some questions there, so we'll try to address those.
Sure. Thank you.
Makes sense? Okay. So I'll just bring my screen up and we can discuss that. Great. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
All right. This is the use case and the conversation flow that Headstream has created, and I think it's done really well. And again, like we mentioned earlier, that what you have to do is imagine a conversation happening with the bot and between the bot and the user. So what do you want what do you want the bot to send, and are you expecting the user to respond and address, right? So this is a like Naveen earlier mentioned, that they want to start with a education literacy program, right? So this is how the flow goes. So it begins, and anyway, like wherever the conversation is happening on WhatsApp, the initial message has to be from the user, because WhatsApp, like, it pushes, or it doesn't allow organizations to send message from their side, because they want to suppress spams as much as possible. So the user initiates the conversation by any message. It could be a hi or hello or any trigger word that you want to configure. So because there are various ways, like when you're promoting your number, or you're sending out you're promoting your number and asking user, giving them like guidance on how to use the bot, you can say, send this message to start, or in general, because hi is a very common keyword, that can be the message that you plan for the conversation initiation. So the conversation is initiated when the user sends a message, and then you have to plan what message do you want to send next. So Hessian starting with introducing themselves and getting their language preference. So type 1 to enroll for English spoken course, and type 2 to enroll for spoken English course with Kannada instructions. So English instruction, so that's the difference. And what so WhatsApp can be leveraged for menu-based conversations, to move things forward. And and wherever there's a choice, and you want to move the discussion forward, it's rather easier to keep it in this format of type 1 and type 2, because it just makes it really simple for people to just send 1 and 2. So if it's a longer form keyword, like send this entire word, then the strings there may be a typo, there may be other things. But these are just some of the best practices. You can also experiment, and if you really need, you can keep it to keywords also, like send ART for art based, or ENG for English, and KAN for Kannada. So those things also you can experiment and try out, and see how it's working out. Again, based on the metrics, you can easily figure out mm, which is being picked up. So in general, I think this menu based system is good way to go ahead. And then you can configure this message in different languages also. Right now, here you see, English along with Kannada. So as the first message, this is a good practice to, make it inclusive for the audiences. But after this, like when you move forward in the conversations, you can, based on the preference, like just send them Hindi, Kannada, or English messages solely. Okay, great. So the bot sends this message. This is what we'll basically plan out and prepare in our automated conversation flows, where we'll set that expect this response from user, and then send this response, and then expect these responses from the user, and then do the next thing as follows. So if user sends one, headstrings wants to send English workflow, and if the user sends two, the Kannada workflow begins. And then the user sends anything else other than 1 and 2. So there are also ways to prepare it in the system. Basically, Naveen, for your question, what will the bot do? There are a few ways. So one is either you redirect them to your previous message, and we'll see it in the platform, that you say, you repeat this message. You just, say sorry, or you can say, sorry, we didn't get your message. Please respond 1 and 2. So you have the ability to configure messages based on what the user is saying. And if you don't understand, or if if it's any other option than what you've provided, then you can send a custom message. Great. So we'll come to these questions. Right. So user enrolls, and then name agent. So Naveen, here you're basically asking them for these details, right? I mean, as they
Yeah.
enroll.
So that's one by one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
One by one.
Great. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, one by one will be great. So then you can ask them, what is your name? And then they respond. Then next question, you ask them, what is your age? And then they respond. So that sounds good. And
so
then
when they
once
respond to the age,
yeah,
like if they say 31 years or something, can we just take the number is there any way to do that, or?
yes, you'll be able to take the number, and you can actually, so good question. You can also mention in your message that, when you're entering your age, like you can give examples like example 31. So rather than typing out 31, somebody, you can nudge them to send 31. And then when they send it, you will be able to store that data point on Naveen.
Okay.
Great. So for district and state, you can also get from them, their location also if you really want. So Google, yeah, like, in general on WhatsApp, we can send our Google location. So you can get their longitude, latitude based on the location they send. And then the conversation flows on. So these are the messages they send. Okay, you want to include audio files along with the message, you can easily do that. So for this, you'll need to record the audio notes and files, and then save it in Google Cloud Storage, right? And then you can attach those files to the message. And then the conversation goes on. So here, user does not respond within the 7 days. So essentially, when this happens, I mean, what we want to do is, first things is we want to get users opt-in. So I'll talk about the opt-in process and everything, and that happens at the beginning. So as soon as a user says hi, we want to get their opt-in, in the first few steps, or based on how your program is, like after a few conversations. But we want to get it within the 24 hours of their initiation, uh, right? So that it will allow us to send them HSM and nudge templates later on. So if the user does not respond within 7 days, you can nudge them back. But for nudging them, you need their opt-in, approvals. And then you can configure. So let's say at this message, when you send it, you can configure that wait, and we go by wait for time, and wait for response. So and you can set it that if the user like after 7 days, send this message. So it can be a follow-up, like, were you able to check this out, and what's your response for this? Or you can just follow the conversation forward. So you have the ability to configure when and how you want to send each message. And similarly, after 10 days and after 14 days. The only challenge is that if they haven't opted in, then you will not be able to catch up with them after 7 days. They will have to come back to you again to engage the service window. And we'll talk a little bit more about the service windows and everything soon. Okay, anybody has any questions so far? We can go on to Naveen's questions then. Questions from next week. Okay, here, what happens if they send a written text? So if you're asking the user to send an audio message, but they send a written text, there are options to validate or test whether the user sent a text message or an audio message or a video message, or it has any media files attached with it. And you can conditionally send them response. So if they didn't send audio and you want to get audio message, then you can redirect them saying, hey, it'll be great if you send us the audio message. So you can conditionally check and do things accordingly. Okay, and want to be able to analyze how many sent audio. Okay, yeah, this is possible. So on BigQuery, you will get, so for this, we also have these labels on the platform where, you can, every time a person sends audio, video, you can label them as user sent audio or things like that. And then you can generate reports based on that. And how many are at different stages of enrollment? This also you can do, because you get to see like where student or where that person was at the last moment. And you can also, again, label based on stages. So once they complete stage 1, you can label them as, stage 1 and stage 2, stage 3, things like that. You can also label them based on, like, you'll have to ask them. So all the conversations, like whenever you need to do some analysis, there are really high chances that you will have to ask them, because it may not be available right off the bat. For example, you'll have to ask them, are you enrolling as a candidate or an alumni or a parent and things like that. So based on their response, you can label, and then do the analysis. Okay, great. Name personalization and all will be available because it allows you to save data and save it in a variable, which you can then reuse in your flows and every time you communicate with the beneficiaries. Okay, let's come to these questions. User conversations will not take place in one flow. How do they pick off from where they left? Okay, so for this, basically, users are able to pick up the conversation from where they had left last. Like in general, also when I and you are talking, and if you send me a last message, and if I see it, let's say after a few days, I'll be able to respond to it and continue from there. Similarly, like for even with the bot, because we have already planned the back and forth conversations, right? We've already prepared the bot that if the user sends this message, if the user sends this message, then do this. So they'll be able to pick up their conversation from where they had left. But if there's something that the only thing that you can't do is like if the conversation flow changes or if there is a manual intervention somewhere. Let's say there's a flow going on and then you send a message, then the flow breaks in those places and you need to restart those flows for user to pick up from those automated conversations. What
So
if they use?
If it breaks, we'll be able to set it back to wherever it was last?
No, I don't think
Manually?
that is no. That is not possible. The flow will have to begin from like there can be modularity. So for that, rather than creating like one really long conversation flows, what you can do is break them down into smaller and create different flows for that, so that user does not have to like go back to the start. But it will have to be a few steps back. And if you're using individual messages, then it can happen. But it depends on how we configure the flows. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't understand how to break it into different modules.
Okay, got it. So we'll come to that. We'll revisit these because anyway we'll help you set up these flows. So we'll revisit all of this and we'll do it individually so everybody can get to know exactly how it's happening on the platform. Okay, so we will explain. What if the user wants to leave? I think this is similar. Or is there any difference? Leave and rejoin from the beginning. Okay, from the beginning, that is also possible. So you can set up keywords for wherever you want your users to join the conversation from. If it's the beginning and let's say the beginning keyword was hi, then they can start from, they can send a hi and then they can get the first message again. So you can control where the conversations are starting from based on those keywords. Okay. Will something like type exit to leave the course? Yeah, this will work. So if you want people to leave or exit, you can just, they can type exit. And we also have something like opt-in, opt-out flows, where if the user does not want to receive messages or you want to give them the option to leave the conversation and not hear back from you again, then they can they can type in opt-out and they'll stop receiving messages from you altogether. And even exit, you can configure the system like if they say exit, then we don't want to send messages to them. So yeah, that's possible. You will lose all progress made in the course. Are you sure? Type 1 for yes. Please exit the course. Type 2 for no. I would like.
This is after they receive the exit. After we receive the exit, we can give that sort of flow.
Yeah. You can have these confirmation, and based on this confirmation only, you will mark whether they exit or not.
Yeah.
So that's fine. All right. Great. Anything? Any other question that I might have missed, Naveen, or any other thing that you want me to cover here?
No. So it's at the beginning of this flow.
Okay.
What we've said is, so imagine today this is one flow. Workflow that we have, but tomorrow say we want to do the career guidance also on the same number.
Yeah.
So is this the way to do it, that after we say welcome to Headstreams, will it be type 1 for spoken English, type 2 for Kannada, type 3 for career guidance? Is that how it will be, or Is there any other way to do it?
Yeah. So let me ask you: are these the same people you will be giving the career guidance to? Like, let's say after you run this program, there are thousands of people who have been onboarded. Do you want to run the career guidance to the same people or to a different set of people?
Different set.
Okay. So then there are two ways to go about it. Like one is at the start, you ask, like you just mentioned, type 1, 2, and then 3. So if they say career guidance, then you can take them to a career guidance flow altogether. Like you can bypass these conversation options altogether. Or if you or the other way is to set up a different system altogether, like another account where with another number where you know your X number is for education and Y number is for career guidance. So there are these two approaches, but you can continue building on top of this as well. See, the basic is that there will be let's say if new users come on board and they see what is the first message they see, right? So if you want to continue this message as the first message, then you'll have to just add one more option here and then bifurcate them based on the options. But if you want to conditionally uh, say that let me ask what they are here for, and then take them to different flows, then that is also possible. um, does that make sense? Like, do you, or if anybody else has any questions on this? So basically, what you want to think is, what is the conversation flow or experience that they're getting when they first interact with the bot. So let's say there are a lot of people who, yeah, right? Yeah, there are a lot of people who are already into this bot and the flow is going on for them, right? So you just
Yeah.
want to create a linear or you want to continue the bot with them as well, right? Because those people who want to like learn English, you may have more courses and you may want to build on top of it, right? So if it's a like a month, the engagement goes on for months, then they get that content that you keep building on, in addition to this workflow. um, but there might be new people added onto the platform also who may want to learn language. So that's how you want to basically configure the flow so that you take care of the previous people who are already onboarded and the new people who are coming in. And then we'll configure the message accordingly. I hope that answers the question to some extent. And then probably once we go into the platform, then again we can do a deep dive about it.
Sure. Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? Anybody else, like based on this flow, if you're getting ideas and questions and thoughts?
I have one question.
Yeah.
So this is Tarani from Extremes. Suppose we have different courses. Let's say we have an English course, a Kannada course, and a Hindi course.
Yeah.
And we have courses priced differently for some reason.
Okay.
And we don't want we want a specific user to have access only to a course that they've paid for. How do we work on that?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. Basically, like how we can restrict one user from, I feel like thinking about it on the top of my head that it might be a bit challenging because all the keywords will be open in public, right? If they have gone through the previous flows. So to segregate that out, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure we can do that validation. We'll have to like figure it out. The only thing that I can think right now is because it is open, it might be a bit challenging to restrict people from going from one flow to the other, because they can always go back to the start and say, okay, now I want to do this. So that might be a bit um, tricky use case to do. Other than that, the only way is like separating out to the platform altogether. to a different number, saying that, yeah.
Is it possible that, say, on a spreadsheet or something, if we have some, say, a password assigned or some keyword assigned to a user, so we say enter your keyword here, and only if they enter the right one, which is assigned to them, will it move forward? Is that possible?
Oh, so and then like, will you be sharing all the content from that sheet?
Yeah, so it checks with a database, with a spreadsheet or database, whether, so it's almost works like a password that
Okay.
and once they enter the flow, then it continues for them. But for them to be able to access it, they need to enter the keyword at some stage.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll. I mean, I can't say for sure. Let's think about it. And since it's specific to Hashim's, I think we'll be able to, figure something out and do this. Okay. Cool. So we'll circle back on that.
I have one more question.
Right.
So if a user is asking a doubt, which is not part of anything, that the bot can answer, can we respond to the user, or can we get a collection of those doubts? How does that work?
Yes. So if there is, so again, like that falls in slightly, somewhat in this area where you haven't really prepared the bot for that, and that will happen. And that's where, the manual intervention sort of comes in. Like if the bot asks, if the user or the contact asks a question that the system is not prepared for, then what you can do is there are a couple of options. Like one, you can direct it to a staff member, say that, check this contact out, and they might need help here. So you can send a message, you can send an alert to a staff member and ask them to, intervene in between. So these moments will need some manual intervention, or when we go into, let's say, some advanced technologies like Dialogflow and other things, then based on the keyword they're using, based on their questions, you can detect what it could be and then send them message. So there are these two approaches that again that are possible here.
Thanks, Abhishek.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Anything? Priyanka, does this flow give you an idea, and does it resolve some of the queries and questions you had?
Yes. Basically, got some ideas also, and then the queries that they have asked would help me also. Me and Shweta, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So and for all the other engineers also who are yet to create their flows, I think today will be a good time. If you can build this, then tomorrow maybe what we can do is spend time individually on creating those flows on the system so that you have a hands-on experience. And let's move on to the other example and some of the questions that came in from Civis. Okay. We heard about the use case. Let's go into the conversation flow itself. Okay. And I think, and this is also a good way to, go about it. So again, the conversation format remains the same, where you're anticipating what the user will say. And, what are the messages that you want to send. So when user sends hi, this text appears as a pre-composed in the chat box. So this is possible, Divya. And it can be configured through a link, like you have that whatsapp.me link. So you can configure a keyword there, and then if your users are like savvy enough, you can send this link to everybody. They can tap on that, and it opens that chat box window like WhatsApp. It opens it on the browser basically, and then from there it takes to the WhatsApp application once the user authenticates this. So this is possible. And then,
Sorry to cut you.
yeah,
What I've read is that it is necessary for the conversation to be always initiated by the user in such a flow. Is that
correct.
the case that they have to always start with an hi? We cannot send them a message to begin with.
So
Actually,
kind of a
yeah,
consent that they want to get into
Okay.
this chat. That is what
correct,
my understanding, right?
correct. So you want to get their consent. That's why WhatsApp, asks all the businesses to, um, I mean, the contact to initiate the conversation with businesses rather than businesses sending a message.
Okay.
Um,
So, Abhishek, in this case, how it usually happens is that when we
mhm,
have a particular consultation, there
yeah.
is a particular link that we will create for different summaries. And typically, what happens is that this link is what is circulated during the outreach.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if somebody clicks on that particular link, ideally they should be able to, and once they carry on with this flow, they should be able to kind of read the data or the information pertaining to that specific consultation. So there will be different links for different consultations. So how do we match the link with the specific data?
Okay. Yeah, you can do that. Like, um, you can have, or maybe you can start with the same link. I mean, hear me out. You can begin from a link, you can initiate the conversation, and based on their response, like after the third message only, you can say you want consultation A, B, or C, if I'm getting your use case right. And then you can start to, bifurcate them or distribute them to different flows. Or do you want to like begin, actually, if you want to right from the start take them to different flows, that is also possible. So say um, consultation A is your keyword for this one, so you can configure that as your um, uh, as that message on that link or that keyword on that link. And then after you take them forward, then you can ask them for opt-in and other things. So both of them are possible actually.
Okay, so there can be a scenario wherein I just have a generic link and then ask them to select the conversation as part of the chat, or I can
Correct.
have it configured that I already pre-configure the chat depending upon which consultation I'm referring to.
Correct. Yes, both are
And I can
possible.
do both as well.
You can do both as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, great. So yeah, the user, so here, I mean, you're asking for language preference, great. And yeah, I mean, it's just based on, you're asking them a couple of questions based on what their preferences are, and then you're sending them messages. So type 1 and type 2, these are all fine. Um, and here displays a link. It is the link to some other, it's a document or something.
Right. So this is ideally the original document which has been uploaded, say, on a government website or something. So what we
Okay.
do is that on the platform, we carry a link to the original document. So anybody who wants to read the detailed one can do so.
Yeah.
So this
Okay,
is
this
that
is
way.
possible.
And as far as languages are concerned, right now I've given Hindi and English, but as we go on, there might be Marathi, Gujarati added as well. So that is like, that can be done at any point in time.
Yes, excellent. So glad that you brought it up. So you can do it at any time. The only thing is like you'll have to revisit the flows and make room for that as well. So let's say you activate Marathi and you activate all the 3, 4 other languages. So just come back to this flow, this instance, and add 4 for that, 5 for that, and then just build on top of the flow to keep that
Right,
consistent.
right.
Okay. Yeah, so I think so this looks pretty decent, pretty normal. That it's user selects an option and you keep the conversation forward. Is there any specific question you have from?
Yeah, so here at this point, Abhishek, so typically what happens is that once you select at no point in time should the satisfaction rating or any other question which is mandatory be
Yeah.
left unanswered. There will be some
Okay.
mandatory questions, there will be some optional questions. So how do we build this logic into the flow?
Great. So basically, what you want to do is don't move the conversation forward in that case. I think it's one of your questions here, right? So don't move that conversation forward. So let's say this question is important. Hang on, let's okay, so this question is important. Before they mention that they're satisfied, you don't want to move them forward. So what the system does right now is you can nudge them uh, at least 4 times, no, maximum 4 times before you move them forward. So if they haven't responded to this, you can set a timer, say after 10 minutes, that again sends them the same message asking this question. So that loop runs 4 times. But if they still don't respond, then basically they have dropped out of the conversation, right? So if you want to bring them in, you can again nudge them at the same instance before moving them forward. So the way, like the thing is that the way forms work on a platform where you have the mandatory field and they can just fill out the fields randomly and then at their based on their preference, and then come back to the mandatory fields later. That is slightly, yeah, that won't be possible here because your conversation is flowing linearly on WhatsApp, right? It's happening one after the other. So the back and forth thing probably will not be possible. The one thing that we could try and see is, and I'll have to check that if it's possible, where you keep running the conversation forward and then you check, mark that, okay, the person responded to this, person responded to these questions, and for the ones that they did not respond, you probably run a query or something, and then you send them a message based on that you haven't answered these questions. But that's a slightly more advanced use case, which we can get deeper into with for your specific thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, in fact, I was just going to ask that, Abhishek. Thanks for bringing that up, because what we have observed in the past is that people generally prefer seeing all the questions at one go.
Yeah.
So, like, they probably just draft everything together and then submit in one go. So, if we kind of keep like one after the other, and they are not kind of, maybe at one point, if they are not able to think through that question very clearly, they might probably need some time. So at that point, if we don't move on to the next question, then I'm just thinking aloud, there might just be a chance that people might drop off just because they are not in a position to answer it at that point.
Understood.
So like the second logic which you mentioned would be greatly helpful in this case, wherein we can just flow the questions together and then keep like a query check to see if any mandatory one has been unanswered.
Okay. And this is other recommendation I'll give on the content creation or on the survey itself. Like if we can do something that makes it easy for them to respond. So maybe breaking the question down into a simpler format, into rather than a very long form option, we create it in a way that they find it easy to respond to. In that case, the engagement becomes longer because a lot of the forms have also moved on to like create this experience where fill out one after the other. I understand the other approach, but but that also happens, and in this case, like it gives the user the focus to the question that right now you're with this question, why don't you answer this one, like that. So let's experiment a couple of things where they have opportunity to maybe you also break down the question in such a way that they're able to answer on this board.
And
So
you had mentioned, sorry, yes.
No, so just to conclude, I mean, since WhatsApp has its limitations, it's a different medium altogether than the digital or the software sort of this thing. We will all have to rethink some of the formats and how engagement is happening. That's just as a general guideline for everyone.
I think this is what you had mentioned in the email also with respect to the multiple questions, like the radio buttons and the checkboxes.
Right. Sure. Is that your next question?
Yeah, actually, because we have generally a lot of questions which people have to select like one option, or it can be a drop down, or there is also a possibility of out of all the options which they've given, if they don't agree with any of them, then they have an option of putting their own other, like other option in Google Forms. So is all of this a facility, like is it possible in WhatsApp, or will we have to rethink this?
Yeah, so I mean, you won't have these interactive interactions like radio buttons, checkboxes will not be, and drop downs will not be available on WhatsApp. However, because it's a multiple choice, it's anyway like, send us 1, 2, 3, 4 for the option that you resonate most with. So I mean, it's actually the same thing, only the medium or the method of interaction is different. Rather than clicking, they're sending that option. So
Right.
in that sense, I think you still are able to do all of this, but the format is different. That's all.
Okay,
And
and
the
sorry, yes.
uh, and so for the multiple questions, there would be multiple messages that would require, right?
Multiple choice? No, you can just
Multiple
say,
questions, like there would be 10 questions, for example.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we would have to send 10
10
messages and
messages. Correct, correct. Yes.
And Abhishek, a scenario wherein if it's a checkbox and the
Mhm,
user can select, if there are 10 options I give in a checkbox,
mhm.
and the user can select any option.
Okay.
So like I can select one or I can select all 10.
Understood.
So in that case, is it like a comma separated input that I need to give, or how do I, or like, maybe I select only 1, 4, and 5.
Okay, okay. Yeah, let's come to this because right now I understand the checkbox thing. That is, I think it's not really possible where you can send multiple options in one message because how it reads. Um, so I'll check back with the tech team also if there is a possibility, because so far, like when we discussed this, this was not really possible.
Okay.
So yeah, because of the constraint uh, on getting the message. But I do understand the use case for this one, where because actually multiple options that they choose from one message itself.
Right.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I think this will be a difficult use case to implement on WhatsApp. So we'll have to probably rethink. But I'll also check back if there is something we can think of for this.
And
There's
in
some
terms
way.
of a long text question, is there any restriction on the number of characters that I can enter as a response on WhatsApp?
No, no.
Or any, is there any kind of, this I'm just thinking aloud, I had not put in the questions, any kind of profanity check or uh, any kind of checks to
Yeah.
see the spam that is being entered?
Yeah, that can happen. That can happen. The For your previous question, there's a character limit on what you are sending. Um, yeah, so but it's long enough for you to send like a really long message. Not on their side, but profanity check can happen,
All
like
right.
spams and all of that. Okay.
Coming to the next question, actually, Abhishek, one
Yeah.
of the most important things for the platform as such is the authentication that we do, because since we are submitting the feedback to the government, the whole idea
Mhm.
is that we reduce spam as much as possible.
Yeah.
So having authentication is one of the ways that we try to, cut down on the people who are not really genuine. So
Okay.
currently on the platform, there are 3 ways by which I can create an account, or I can log in or sign up basically.
Mhm.
One is my social login, which is either Facebook or Google. And the third one is by entering my actual details, in which I collect my first name, my email ID, password, and the city.
Okay.
Okay, so now I just wanted to understand how this, what I was made to understand when I was reading up online is that all of this is kind of replaced when I have a unique WhatsApp ID that kind of acts as an authentication factor.
Unique WhatsApp ID.
So what data
Okay.
do I need to collect, and what data is it that is already kind of taken care of when I use WhatsApp?
Yeah, so you get their phone number, of course, and their name. These are the couple of information that you get when a contact messages you. Can you like elaborate a little bit on the WhatsApp ID?
So what I understood is that when
Okay.
I have a WhatsApp number, that
Uh-huh.
number itself acts as like a unique identifier.
Oh
So
yeah,
then
yeah,
I don't need to like do a Facebook or a Google or a email sign up, that like the WhatsApp number itself takes care of it.
yeah. But where are you signing up? Like, where is the signing up happening?
So what happens is that there are 2 ways on the website. One is that I just go to the
Oh.
website and I sign up and I create an account. The
Mhm.
second is that I the conversation summary. Like for example, if I land directly on the summary page, I go through the full summary, I go through the questions, I draft the questions. At the time of submitting a response, that time I need to be either signed up, I mean, I need to be logged into the system. So if I am not logged in, they will ask me to log in, or I will have to create an account at that point. Basically, I can't submit a guest response at this point in time. So, and this kind of takes in care the consent to create an account, and all of this happens in that flow. Maybe I can take you through this flow at a later stage when we are actually going through it. But what I wanted to understand is how do we take care of this flow when we are like finally when the user has answered all the questions and is saying okay, now okay to submit response. At that time, we will need to collect the response and their credentials. So how do we do that?
So, in other words, like you're basically interacting with the website from your conversation flows, correct?
Well, I mean, we don't necessarily need to take them to the website. Can we like collect this information on WhatsApp itself, and then this whole data is then taken along with the original data that we have on the website?
Yeah, I don't think we have any option where you can in a way like create sign up accounts using flows that you ask for the number, because anyway like it needs password and everything, so that won't be the optimal way to create their accounts from flows. But you can integrate databases. Like if you have an account on website and you want to you probably ask for some questions or some information there, and then you want to merge it with what the users are responding to on WhatsApp, that might be possible. But triggering signups from WhatsApp, that will not be possible. And let's talk about the specifics on. Does anybody else have any questions on the logins and everything? Because then you and I can like we can discuss this based on you can show me the platform and we can take this further how it's happening.
I have a question related to just this entire workflow. So this looks like a form that needs to be submitted. So is it easier for us to just give a Google form link so that people can fill in a form somewhere else, and then once it's done there, they come back to WhatsApp? Is that a better way of doing this?
Yeah, so I mean, you can do that actually. And there are some organizations who basically did that for their education, like literacy program, where they would teach, but then when they wanted to, so like a short test or survey, that they would redirect them to a Google form, and then so the only thing then is that you will have to figure out how to integrate the responses from Google Form, because Google Form stores it in Excel sheets, right? So how to integrate that for responses with your WhatsApp data that you're collecting from WhatsApp. So if you feel that that's not an overhead for you and like multiple channels, then I think you can do that. But if you feel that will be, then keeping it on one channel might help. So it really depends on, it also, I think, depends on the number of questions you're asking. So if it's a really, really long form, right? And like Divya mentioned that, you have those options, and then, you want to give them complete view of the form first. And then, so if that is really, really important, then, those can be considered to make the decision whether you want to use the Google form as well, or just go for the chat based.
But is there a way of integrating, let's say if a user clicks on the link and then submits the form, is there a way of integrating it to say, okay, fine, your form has been submitted and you can continue with the next portion of this chat?
Yeah, that can happen. Like it can, um, we don't have those use cases right now, but it seems like that's possible. So when they fill out the form, like we'll need to figure out how to test whether they have completed the form or not, because the two systems are not really talking to each other. But if you create advanced systems where you have these webhooks APIs, so that when they submit a form, and then on the Excel, like that Excel is linked with your database that even WhatsApp has, and then you check whether this person's response came in or not. Then you can sort of trigger messages. But I think that's a lot more advanced and complicated flow. So seems like it's possible because it's system, it's a software, so we can make it do anything that we want. But what's really required for you and how simplified and you want to make it, I think that's what it'll come down to. But does that answer your question? So I mean, just to
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Go ahead, Aman.
Yeah, I was just summarizing that the decision will be yours to make on some of these criterias, how to check, how to integrate both the datas, and what kind of form that is, and how important it is for which engagement you're targeting. Like you really want to give them complete view of the form, or you can take them through one question at a time. So some of these will help you like decide. And then again, you can try it out, like see if the WhatsApp based conversations are working out, where it's dropping. If it's not, then let's try other tools and mediums. So that way it can be like an iterative, it can be a approach that you figure out, like what is the right thing for my program.
Right.
And
So
you can
there is
run
a way of
trials.
figuring out the drop-offs as well. Like at what point people drop off? Is it after answering
Yeah.
two questions, or there is a way of
Yes.
doing that? Right? Okay.
Yes.
So in this flow, Abhishek, what we basically did was we built in the entire sign up flow wherein I enter my first name or I enter my city and I enter, if I'm already logged in, if I'm already a registered user, then I enter my, like I just kind of continue because I've registered using WhatsApp number. But if I'm not, then I need to create an account in the first place. So then I enter my city, my first name and my email ID. So here we have built in this flow, but if this is not the best way to kind of go about using WhatsApp, then maybe after this, you and I can just take you through how it really happens on the platform. So then we can replicate it, because what happens is it's important for us to have the credentials as well as the consent that
Okay.
we are creating the account, and that's when the response is kind of taken. So
Sure.
that consent part also is important. So how we can build in that to go ahead is something which we will have to check in this flow.
Okay,
So
got it.
at this point of time, we don't have a guest user option. At some point, we may have a guest user option, in which case their flexibility is there, in which I can sign up or I cannot. But for now, the data that we collect is all of this. And then once this database is generated from WhatsApp, the integration with the web platform, I believe, is not so much of an issue. But it's about
Yeah.
just how do we go about this flow here. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is
We'll deep dive.
this was one of the main questions that actually. Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
makes sense. So I'll just try to
Uh,
understand more. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
I was just saying that we'll do a deep dive for your use case understanding about the platform, because I see that there is some overlap and something interaction
Right.
there. So we'll discuss that for your specific use case.
One of the other questions we had, Abhishek, is what we do is there is a gamification built into the system, so that whenever I do any kind of activity, there are like points that are accumulated. And when I submit responses as well, I get like, once I submit the response, I get a thank you pop-up saying, oh, thank you for submitting your response. You just earned so-and-so points. Now, this is the logic which is there on the platform. If we have to replicate this same message on WhatsApp once a user successfully submits a response, will this require an integration which is like a little complicated?
So basically, you want to keep those points going for long term, right? You
Yeah,
want
we
to
would
remember.
like that, because I think there's
Okay.
a possibility that suppose one user has, like, today he has submitted it on WhatsApp, tomorrow he might respond on the website. So basically his points should go on getting accumulated.
Okay. Yeah, I think that yeah, it should be possible. Like again, because it's a specific use case, and other folks haven't really done it so far. So, but it sounds like it's doable.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, the last question was again to do with how do we collect these critical information? Basically, the whole authentication sign up flow.
Okay. Yeah, you can collect these information for sure. The only thing is because it's WhatsApp, it's open,
Right.
format for messaging. So you can only put as many validations to it. Like because email has, or in a form, it tells you that, it's not the right email ID, have.com, have ampersand and at the rate, and all of that. So that level of validation you may not have, but a basic one you can get.
Okay, fine. Yeah, this is something which we can deep dive.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. Anybody else wants to discuss any of the flows? Like Priyanka, do you want to maybe pull up your screen and have any specific questions where you need help? Or anybody else wants to talk about their conversation flows before we move into the platform?
Okay.
Demo.
Abhishek, one question. Actually,
Yeah.
I was bit in and out because of the internet. So there was this discussion about Google Forms and WhatsApp data integration, right? So just my question, maybe we would be getting to know about how do we collect data in this platform, but just in the scenario where we collect, for example, a data on a Google form, and then there are n number of people. For example, there are 100 people on the Google form, and but there are only 80 chats that I can see, or like live chats, or which are moving ahead. So I can say that 20 people have dropped out from the chats, or do I get that data which people have entered their details in Google form, but they have not continued their chats?
So you're saying like you want to, if I got it right, you're collecting some information on Google form and you want to check on the WhatsApp also whether they filled out that information?
I will just reframe there. For example, there are some people on the chats, they have sent hi and all, and initial stage, I want to, for example, this a mother who is entering data for her child. So she did that in Google form. If we think that Google form, we would be able to get more data if we use Google form link, and then she doesn't continue that chat ahead. So we have her data on the Google form, but the further data points that we would be planning to have in the chats, that we don't have. So can we get who has left the chat, and like though their name is there in the Google form, but they have not continued in the chats?
Okay, so you mean like remaining information. Partially you want to collect from Google form and partially from WhatsApp.
Sorry,
and you want to check.
Could not hear you, sorry.
Sorry, you're saying that partially you'll collect from Google form and partially on WhatsApp? Like Okay. Yeah, I think like again, it's all about how you're configuring the databases and everything. So even that is possible based on what they filled out. But that might be a bit more complicated. So I think we should probably focus on our, at least on our pilots and everything, that we try to get most of the information from WhatsApp. I mean, that's what I'll recommend and suggest.
Okay.
Yeah, because all of that might be a bit more technical, and then you will need somebody to, some tech persons to guide you. So as much as we can keep in the realm of WhatsApp, I think that might really simplify and ease the process. But what you're saying also is doable, because again, like I said, it's a software, and we can make it do anything anything that we'd like.
Okay.
So those partial things, yeah.
Yeah, and there is certain kind of data collection which will happen on this platform, right? And
Yeah,
then it would automatically generate some data according to its own analysis.
according to its own.
Um,
Got it. So you mean like there should be some inherent information you'll get from WhatsApp.
hmm.
Uh, and what kind of information is that?
So the age of the child and then what kind of history that child has, whatever data that
No.
parents would enter, and can we extract that data as well? Like so many
Yeah, you'll have to
children
ask.
have, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so many
Yeah, okay,
children had
okay,
a
got it.
certain kind of history, and because of that, that child might have hearing loss. I say, so that kind of correlation can we do based on the data that we get?
Got it. Yeah, makes sense. Good question. So you can do that. See, there is data that you collect, but then when you collect it in bulk, it's up to you what kind of correlations, what kind of analysis, and all you want to do on top of that.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, we are using Data Studio for that, and the NGOs have to sort of create those reports and everything. So there is, because everybody has their own goals and needs for the reports. So you might want to do some analysis on data, but on hearing, and somebody else might want to do it on
Yeah,
the literacy levels, right? So
yeah,
once
yeah.
you collect the data, then an NGO can specifically go in and create those reports and charts, and you do those analysis.
And that is possible in this platform itself. They
Yeah, yeah,
don't
yeah. Because yeah,
huh.
I mean, that is, it's not inbuilt, because we have integration with Data Studio. So you'll have to go into Data Studio, which picks data from BigQuery. And I can, explain more about. We can explain more about BigQuery, Data Studio, and Glyphic. So
Mhm.
what it does is, when you now ask questions, and the chats that are happening on WhatsApp and Glyphic, that gets stored in BigQuery. That's where your data is basically getting stored. That's the database. And then Data Studio is where your visualizations and reports are being created. So then you will
Okay,
need to, yeah, you will use that platform to create it on your own.
okay,
We are not
yeah,
creating any inbuilt reports. We're not providing any inbuilt reports to you.
haha, okay,
Okay.
got it.
Okay. Great. Yeah. All right. Thanks for the questions. Anybody else wants to discuss anything from the flow, their own flows, how to go about their flows, anything else? Yes, Shweta, you have a question or something you want to say?
Yes, actually, in some cases, now we have different end users. Like in some cases, we collect data from beneficiaries directly, and in some cases, we collect data from our service providers. Same update on same beneficiaries, like what services we have provided. So in that case, data will integrate or merge directly, or we will have different data sets in that case.
So you're saying you've asked us, you collected data um, from the student or from the
Yes,
child,
yes, yes.
and the same. Okay.
Sorry. Personal
No, no.
details from a child, and what service have been provided from our service provider. So in that case, what will be?
Yeah, these will be two different data sets, Sweta. I mean, you'll have to do some mapping there. Um, if you want to like check the data, but these are two different data sets, because anyway they're also being recorded in two different ends, because what the child might say and what the you know representative or the other person might say, they may be two different things.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah, I'll try to understand more about your use case when we deep dive for your case, but overall it seems like these are two different data sets and they need to be handled separately. um,
Uh, um, and second question is, like we are entering age, no, date of birth on any date. Some people enter 4th May. If we have to enter 4th May, some people will enter write 4 dot May and dot any year. So is there any
Yeah.
automatic technique to correct this date, or we will have to clean the data?
So one thing is, you give example, like I mentioned that other case of age where people could say 31 or text 31. So you give them example like example. Whenever you ask age, you say, send us respond back with your age example 31, and you can also be specific saying, please do not enter in words, use only numbers, like that. And similarly for date, you can also, you know, give those instructions in the message. Because like we can only go for so far in validating the messages from flows, but it can be taken care of at the communication end. There might still be some, I guess, people who may not follow that, but and we can see how we can manage those cases. Yeah, right now, like we don't have such a what do you call extensive um, validations inbuilt in the platform. So those may be the cases that we built on top of this, but yeah, there are other ways to prevent it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Great. Anything else, anybody?
Also, Abhishek, one of the webinars that I saw on the YouTube channel, where one organization had mentioned that giving link is a less uh, interactive way, like people tend to not click on the links. So in that case, so what we would like to administer is high risk register checklist, where we would ask questions whether there is a history, family history of the hearing loss, whether child was born prematurely, or the weight was lesser than 15 grams, or all those questions. So as the previous case we discussed, in that you said there would be 10 different questions which we can send as 10 different messages. So do you advise that we put that thing in a form of questions, in form of messages, rather than giving a link where they would go to the form and then they would fill up those questions?
Yes, yes. I think I will recommend. And if there are 10 questions, doing it within WhatsApp might be a simpler and easier format. Because, and like you mentioned, links are generally people avoid. But there are a few things that can happen, like, you can show a preview of the link. So most of the times the link will have a preview when you send it, so that people know what they're getting into, what they're clicking on. And if it's an empty link, like, without any caption, any text or any image, then it's less likely to be clicked on. But
Okay.
yeah, to your other part, doing it within WhatsApp makes might be, a better way to go about it. For like, I will
Okay.
recommend, and then you can test it out, what works for you.
Okay. So during the pilot, we can do both the things and see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Anything else? If not, then we can go into the platform demo. We can deep dive into the platform demo, and then tomorrow we can start, working individually on the flows and setting it up on your system.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So Tech4D, good team, do you want to take it forward and do the platform demo now?
Sure, Abhishek.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Abhishek. And hello, everyone. This is Guru Prakash from Tech4Good team, and my colleague Santosh, Kila, and Pooja also part of this call. And today, Santosh is going to give you a full training on Glifics. And in between, if you face any doubt in the sense, you can always drop your question in the chat box. And every new feature, Santosh will give you a break so that in the particular time you can ask your questions. And once again, thank you. And Santosh, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Guru Prakash. Hello, everyone. So now let's see the features in the platform and how we are going to use it while developing our chat flow, and what are the features in this platform. And I'll be covering overall this one. Before that, I'll share my screen. Yeah, hope everyone can able to see my screen.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, got it. Okay. Yeah. Once you log into your Glific account using your credentials, you can able to see this main chat window interface. From this chat window, you can communicate with the beneficiary. So this is a chat window interface. In this window interface, the right side there is this panel. You can find the beneficiaries who have sent messages, and Glific have sent an automated replies to the beneficiaries details. So this is the main chat window interface. And if you come to the left-hand side, you can able to see all the features in the Glifics like chat, tag, flow, everything. So now I will cover on the, there are two types of messages that is, one is template message and another one is session message. So I'll give a short note about what is template message and what is session message. Here, while talking about session message means it will be open for only for 24 hours, but the template message will be open even after the 24 hours. That is the difference between template message and session message. Okay. As the first feature.
Yeah. Quick note here, Santosh, that for the, I mean, even though template messages are open after that, like I mentioned earlier, you just need opt-in. So if you can see on the right, there are these numbers written here, 17, 13, 0. So these numbers indicate the time you have available for to basically respond to that contact. So this person messaged about 17 hours back, like Glyphic Simulator 2, and now you have 13 hours available to respond to them. For the 0 folks, basically you don't have the session window open, but you can send them template messages because they have opted in. However, if there is, Santosh, can you scroll down? Yeah, if you see this block sign, like for Abhishek, this means that this person either hasn't opted in or has opted, basically they didn't opt into the number. So the session window is also over, and the HSM template also cannot be sent. And you need to get their opt-in to basically be able to send template messages.
Yeah.
And a quick note also on, yeah.
I have a question here. So the amount of time that I have to respond to a user can be set by me. Like in this case, 30 hours is the total time. So
24 hours is the total time.
So 17 indicates for how long they have already been active, and I have 7 more hours to respond to them.
Remaining. 17 hours are the remaining one.
Remaining, okay. So
Yeah.
is this 24-hour standard, or can this be changed?
Yeah, this is standard. This is WhatsApp defined that, you have one full business day to respond to the person. Okay. That's how they, yeah, that's the WhatsApp business API rule.
And the block, meaning that somebody has opted out or is not willing to share their number. So there is no way to get in touch with them again through WhatsApp, right? Like I'll have to try some other medium.
Correct. Or maybe reach out to them individually, separately, not from this number.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. And Santosh, can you also talk about template messages, how they need to be pre-approved and
Yes, Abhishek. So yeah, I'll be covering that template message. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Yeah. So this is a chat flow interface. Now I'll be talking about the flow interface, how we want to create a new flow for our organization. Yeah. So for that, you have to, in the left hand side, you can find an option for flow. Just click that. Yeah. So for your organization, if you want to create a new flow, in the right top corner, you can find a create flow option. If you tap that, it will take you to the add a new flow. Okay. So here you want to enter the name of your flow, whether it is related to the feedback or any other project related flow. You have to enter the name, and in the keyword, keywords are used to start a particular flow from the chat box. Okay. For example, in the keyword session, if I'm adding keywords like hi, need help, queries, data collection, etc., if a beneficiary is sending a message using these particular keywords, from here, the flow related to the keywords will start. And the beneficiary will start getting automated from that flow, which we inputted as a keyword. Okay. And once it is done, you have to click save. Once you saved, your flow will be visible over here. So for right now, I will be explaining the pre-developed flow, which we have created for this training. I'll show that. Yeah. So these are the two flows which we have created for this training. Once you have created the flow for your organization, it will be shown in this flow, in this interface. If you want to configure, if you want to develop more for your flow mix, you have to click this icon, configure icon. Yeah. So basically the chat flow will looks like this. And yeah, once you created a new flow, your flow interface will start with the send message. Okay, and now I will take you through the special sessions in the flow while you have to use developing your flows. Before developing your flow, you should have what are the flows, what are the content you have to going to bring into your flow. Like that, if you have a flow chart, it will be more useful while developing this flow. Okay, and whenever you start developing your flow, in the beginning, it has to start with send the contact a message. That is, if you click this, yeah, just click this drop down icon. You can find all the special sessions here. For now, I will select send the contact a message. So always whenever you're creating a flow, the first thing it wants to appear is the send message. That is a message from our side, which has to go for the end user once they have a reply. Okay. In the below text box, the content which has to be sent to your user. For example, here I have took the content related to the COVID-19, and in the same content, I have also asked my user to send the name. Okay, and I save this. I will be clicking OK. So it will be saved. Okay. In this session, I have entered the COVID-19 related details, as well as I'll be asking the name from my user. So once it is done, I have to wait from my user to send the response, because in the previous session I have asked for the name. Okay, the user will be responding for that message. For that, in the flow, you have to open a session. As usual, you have to select wait for the contact to response. Mostly while developing the flow, okay, you will be using send the contact message and wait for the contact to response. These are the two most things we will be using. Why? Because the message will be sent from our side and the user will be responding. So these are the two main things we will be concentrating. Okay, so now I'll be selecting wait for the contact to respond, and in the result name, I'll be inputting as contact's name. Why? Because in the previous session, that is send message session, I have asked my user to tell the name. So I'll be inputting as contact's name and click OK. Okay. Okay. And now the user will be responding by his name, that is contact name. I have mentioned it, that is contact name. Okay. And finally, you will be receiving a response from the user. Okay. Again, you have to open a session and enter the content. Once you received the response, that is, if the user is saying his name, responded with saying the name. So my name is Santosh. If you mention means, again, we have to send a message, right? So for that, if you are sending, thank you, hi Santosh, thank you for reaching out to us with your name. And again, I am asking, please tell us your name means. This message, for particular this message, the user have responded with the name. Again, if from our side the message have to send means, we have to input this text, that is at results.contact name. Okay, yeah. Why? Because in the contact name, in the result, I have entered the contact name, that is the result for us. Okay, yeah. And yeah, in the same session, I also asked for the age here, and once I ask the age, as usual, you will be waiting for the response from the user to get back with the age. Okay. So if and now there is another, we have so far we have found two options. One is send message and wait for response. Okay. And okay, now I will. Yeah. Yes, good.
So you're going to update content. If anyone have any doubts on send message and waiting for response, you can ask now. Else, we can go for the next option.
Yeah. Mostly we will be using these two things, that is send message and wait for the response. So show or use all the special sessions in our flow wherever it is used for our use case. We'll be using this update contact and all other special sessions. So let me go forward.
Santosh, so in this flow, what we are entering are the session messages. These are the session messages, right?
Yes.
Yes, these are session messages.
Yeah, this is session messages.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, so in the previous session, we have asked for the age. In the result name, we will be entering it as age. So here our result is age. Okay. And in the update contact, what I will be doing is that update contact, I will be selecting it as a age. There will be different as a name, everything. I will be selecting age, and I'll be inputting it as @results.age. Okay, why? Because once we received the age as a result from our user, again we will be sending a message. As in this thank you note, we have noted your name. If the message want to send with the name as well as age, means you have to input these two things, @results.contact name, and for age @results.age. If you input these two things, means in this automated session message, if it is going to your end user, means it will go with the thank you message as well as the name and age. For that only these two things are used. And finally click OK. Yeah, so far now we have shown three things, that is send message, wait for response, and update contact. Yeah, and now we will see another session called wait for time. Okay, if you want to postpone your automated conversation after a minute or a day, means select this option. If you are here, I have chosen a 1 minute, which means that for example, if you want to if I'm entering 1 minute, means after 1 minute only the next automated message will be sent. That is, here I have postponed my conversation. After 1 minute only, this conversation will be on for my user. For that only I'm postponing my conversation as 1 minute. So whatever time you require, you can make the conversation. It will be sent in that delayed. Yeah. Yeah. So and now I'm opening another column and asking for press 1. That is from our side. Message want to send, means I'll be opening a session and select the like I mentioned before, whenever the message want to be sent from our side, you have to select send the contact a message. In the text box, I am entering it as press 1. The COVID related details, that if you took the COVID test already, press 1. 2 for want to take test. Okay, this is as usual. And we have to wait for the response for that. Okay, here if our user responds with 1, means I have navigated to one option, and if our user selected option 2, means I have navigated to another option. In this place, if the user is not responding with the options we have asked for, like they are not responding with 1 and 2, but they are clicking some random numbers, means what I did is that in the other session, I have navigated to send the message again to my user. Okay, if the user is not clicking 1 or 2, means if they are clicking 5, means again this same message, the last session will be gone for my user. I have navigated like this. Okay. Yeah. Again, I'm mentioning like this only. Mostly we will be covering like using while developing a flow is that send message and wait for response. Yeah, I'll be tell about add these two sessions, add to collection. This is also one of the option in a special session. If you click the drop down option, add the contact to a collection. Okay. Yeah, and add the contact to the collection. And another one is that, yeah, send a staff member a message. Here, the add the contact to the collections means I'll be talking about the collections later. Okay. Collections means it's a kind of a group. You can create a different collections and add your beneficiaries to different collections. Okay. You have for that in your organizations you will be having different kind of groups. That is HR team like that you will be having. For that, here we will be calling it as collections for your organization. Whatever is required for your organization flow, you can go ahead and create your own collections. While completing this, I'll be telling about the collections also. Okay. And here, send a staff member a message means in some point of time, if you want to direct this particular user to any of your staff member means you will be having you should search for your staff member result by clicking this icon. So all your staff member details will be visible here. If you think this particular user want to be directed with this staff means you can select them, and if you click OK, so this the automated conversation at some point will be directed to our staff members. So they will be taken care of. The staff member will be communicating with your user. So that process will take place. And finally, another special session is that enter another flow. Okay. If you want to add a different flow, for example, here I am adding a flow called a feedback. For example, in this Tech4Good flow, here in this Tech4Good flow, if I want to use feedback flow means from this session, our user is using this particular session called test Tech4Good. So once he have completed the entire session, okay, finally I need a feedback from my user means for that I should have been developed a feedback session flow before itself, and I should have been kept. Okay, so that if I click down this drop down icon, whatever flows I have developed, it will be shown here. If I want to select a feedback, or if I want to select activity, anything means I can go ahead and click that. So that once the person completed this thing, and finally the user will be going to a feedback session. So it's also will be an automated thing will be taking place. Okay. And so once it is done, everything. If you think if you want to test your flow, so whatever you have completed, you'd have been used whatever special sessions is there in your flow. So everything it is completed. If you think you want to preview how it is going to work, means you have in the right hand side below, you will be having a preview option called stimulator. Right now I'll just show once. If you click that, there will be a mobile interface will be opened. Here you can check this. See here, the first message, that is sent message. So this message will be coming here. Okay, this is how it will be. It will appear if I'm telling my name. Yeah, I have responded. Okay, I was where this message have been sent, and I was waiting for the response, and I have received this. This message saying, "Hi Santosh, thank you reaching out to us." Like here, I'm asking for the name. So again, if I'm entering the name, sorry, age means again the thing will be going with the name and age. So now what will happen, since for 1 minute there will not be any action because I have postponed it here. Okay, for around 1 minute. After 1 minute only, this conversation will start. So like this, you can preview your flow and check whether it is correct before publishing it. And also you can use the save as a draft option if you think the entire flow is perfect and you want to start working on this means, you can publish it. Okay. And so mostly the creating flow will be based on these options, and we'll be using send message and wait for response. In some in neat cases, we will be adding add collection, stops, enter and another flow. These kind of things will be used in the neat cases. Okay. And so if you in the flow, if you think there are other multiple regional languages also. For example, I have created my flows in the entire flows in English. Okay. If I want to change it into Hindi means, on the top you can find the different languages, Hindi, English, Tamil, Urdu, like that. If I'm selecting Hindi means, yeah. So this is not an automated process. So manually there will be an option. I see here your message will be visible over here, whatever language, the first language you have mentioned, and you can translate here. The same thing you can translate it, so that once if it is translated, there will be the language will be shown in the Hindi, like that. You can use this language session. Yeah. Yeah, so far clear. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And so there are other options also. If you click your flow options, you can see all the flow, whatever flows you're having for your organization. If you want to, again, if you want to edit your flows name means, you have an edit option. There you have to click and you can edit your flows option. And if you want to ignore a keyword means, you can always ignore the keyword. To ignore the keyword, you have to check in this box. If you want to add means also, you can add and save it, so that your keywords will be saved.
Just a quick note here, Santosh, on ignore keyword. So how ignore keyword basically works is that, let's say your users are in this flow, activity flow. And if you click ignore keywords, then your users will not be able to change from this flow. Let's say you have created activity 1, 2, 3, 4. And during activity 1, they try to send activity 2 keyword. Then if you've activated ignore keyword, they will not, the flow will not change. But in case this is not activated, then activity 2 flow will get started in between. So that's how you use ignore keywords.
Yeah. So like this, we can use the keyword. Yeah. If you think, if you need to have this activity, particular flow activity as a duplicate copy, you need you want one copy to be edited and one copy need to be remain same, means you can have, you can make it as a make a copy. That option is also available. And finally, if you think you no need to have this particular flow in your flow interface means, you can delete that. Okay. So this is mostly based on the flow, the configure options, and make a copy, edit, and delete. Okay. And so now I will move on to the template messages. Okay. Here, yeah, Glific have an option called HSM templates, to send an HSM template.
Sorry,
so
Santosh. Sorry,
yes.
sorry to interrupt you. Have we covered labels and everything? Have we covered labels, attachments? Or should we cover that in flows also while we are at flows?
Yeah, okay, okay, Abhishek, I'll show the attachments, everything, attachment part.
Yeah, let's just cover that.
Yeah, okay. In the flow itself, for example, in the flow, if you want to send an attachment for your user means, or else if you want a template message also, you can do that. As usual, if you want, you have to click open a special session box, and in the top you can find the attachments. Okay, here you have to select your image URLs. For this, if you want to upload the attachments means, first you have to upload it for the Google Cloud platform and convert the file as the URL, so that you can attach the URL link over here. Okay, so this is how you can use the attachment session. And in the same part, template messages. Okay, So pre-approved template messages will be visible over here. That is template message in sense if it is a OTP. Only the here, if you click here, whatever is shown here is an approved template message. If it is pending or rejected, will not be shown here. Only the approved messages will be shown here. Okay. If you want to send an any ticket related things, means you can use this and send.
Can we attach multiple attachments?
No. WhatsApp Business API has one attachment for one message.
Okay. And where do you input the templates?
Yeah, actually, I interrupted Santosh. He was just going on to that section next. So we'll just cover it.
Yeah. To input this multiple templates, okay, I'll show that.
I didn't get the approved part. What does that mean?
Yeah, I'll be covering approved instance. Here I'll cover now. The HSM template means highly structured message. Okay, HSM template. If you create this HSM template for your organization, what I mentioned before, it will be, if you're sending to your user, means it will be active for 24 hours, which means that if the beneficiary is responding after 24 hours, means also the session will be active inactive. If the person is sending after 24 hours, it will be not active. Okay, so that's what we saw here. The session messages and the template messages. If it is session messages, it will be shown here. Okay. Now we are going to see about the template message. Okay. So now we are going to create a template message for your organization. For that, you have to basically see it will take 40 once you have configured everything. For that, you have to click this and
So
in the language
guys,
session.
Sorry, Santosh. The template messages basically are pre-approved messages from WhatsApp. So in order to send those messages after 24-hour sessions, you need to get that message approved from WhatsApp. So this is a submission process that Santosh is showing us. And it goes to WhatsApp, they verify it, and that's where you see the approved labels there. And only the approved ones from WhatsApp you can send to the users. Because WhatsApp Business API says that they prohibit people from sending a highly promotional message. And again, because it can increase the influx of spam, they monitor the messages that, not monitor, they verify the messages you're going to send.
So Abhishek, basically we can send template messages only when a session is on. We can't start something with a template message, right?
You can start you can start it with template message for the people who you see that zero with. So if they're opted in, then after 24 hours also you can start.
Like I need to have a previous conversation to send a template message. I can't start a conversation with a template.
Oh, you mean like first time? No, second, third time you can start.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Correct.
In between the session, you can start that. Okay.
Sorry, this might be a silly question. Yes. What is the significance of the template message? Is it something that is not included in the flow and we want to send that message?
So significance, so it's like this. See, WhatsApp Business API was created for businesses to interact with their users, right? Now, WhatsApp Business API says that we only want businesses to interact with users when they initiate the conversation so that we avoid spam. Sorry, I'm going again to the basics, but repeating it. But okay, so they don't want users to get spam. So the business shouldn't send messages. The contact person or the people and user should start the conversation. So now when a contact starts a conversation, WhatsApp Business API gives 24 hours for those businesses to respond back, right? Now they also have a provision that even though you have only 24 hours, you can send them message again, but for that you need their consent to continue talking even after 24 hours. That is what the opt-in process is for.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if they have opted in, then you can send them, restart the conversation again after 24 hours using these template messages, which are also sometimes called nudge messages. But that's how basically the entire thing works.
Okay.
Cool.
And
Yeah.
if user doesn't respond within 24 hours, that time also we can send this message.
No, then to say session is open, so you can nudge them again. Yeah.
Using template messages?
No, you don't need to send template message because the 24-hour session is available for you. That window is anyway open to you, so you can send session message.
Okay, so when that window is not open for the businesses, they can send template message.
Correct.
Okay.
Santosh, can you go to the chart screen once?
Yeah.
So scroll down. Yeah, look at the, okay, scroll down. Okay, let's go to the top. Where, yeah, it shows Glyphic simulator, right? So assuming this was a proper contact, you have 24 hours to respond to this. And you can send any number of messages within this period. See, the chat box is open to you. You can send template messages or any message. But let's look at this person. Okay, let's look at Guru. If you click on that contact. Now here it says 0. Can you click on this so that the chat opens? Yeah. So now this shows 0 where this person has opted in, but the session has run out. So there are two ways to reinitiate the conversation. One is for Guru to message at this number, which will again, which will again open 24-hour session window, or for your organization to send them template messages. So you see this tab where it says templates and type a message, above type a message. So you can send them template messages here. Okay.
Okay, I lost you in between, but what I understood is, no, it's okay. Just check if I'm correct. There are two ways. If we have lost this 24-hour window, then there are two ways. Either the contact initiates the conversation again, or we can send the template message.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Actually, Santosh, let's cover the opt-in process also, because I think that might bridge the gap between what opt-in processes really is. So can you go to the flows? So guys, basically the opt-in process is nothing but user to signify that they want to continue, hearing from you. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So basically you are collecting their consent. And for that, within the messages, we have created a flow. And we'll just show it to you in a minute that yeah. Okay, let's log in again and then we can show. Go to new contact flow. Search for new contact. Yeah, in search, enter new contact. Can you please search for new contact? No, new contact.
Yeah.
Great. So now just give us a moment here. So basically, new contact workflow is the flow that begins for any new contact that messages you. So this is identified by this keyword called new contact. Okay, we've also placed hi here so that if somebody sends hi, this flow gets triggered. But the and this system, this is pre-configured in the system when we started for you. But new contact identifies that this is the first flow that will start whenever a user interacts with your bot. Now let's go into configure. So what we've done here is we have initiated the conversation flows starting right from the opt-in workflow. Can we go to the opt-in workflow? Yeah, open it in a new tab, please. Click on the title. No, cancel this. Yeah, click on that text. Yeah, opt-in workflow. Yeah. So what opt-in workflow does is it asks for users' consent. We send them a message saying, "Hey, would you like to, receive these wonderful messages from us, really informative messages from us?" Type 1. And if you'd rather not receive messages from us, and only when you need it, type 2. So as you can see, this flow is going here to wait for response. And then the first option says opt-in. So when the user opt-in, we update the contact and say, change the settings for this contact to opt-in, which means that this is the moment, or this is the part where we are indicating in the platform that this person has opted in. And that is why we put it in the start, basically, so that we get this opt-in right when the contact is messaging us the first time. So once they opt in, then the system always knows that this contact is wants to stay connected with us, and we can send them the template messages after, even after the session expires. I hope that will give you some more idea about the opt-in thing. Earlier, um, a few months back, the opt-in process was slightly more challenging, where there was gupshup involved, and they had a bunch of methods to send opt-in, like sending links, QR code, and all of that. Which we realized that it was slightly more challenging for NGOs to and organizations to balance, or explain to the users how to get opt-in and everything. So we simplified it and made the opt-in process within WhatsApp conversations itself. So it gets as simple as sending one to opt-in. Earlier, you had to send links and QR codes and bunch of things. So this is how the opt-in flow works. And when we set up the system for you, this opt-in flow will be created for your within your system, so you can modify the messages as per your organization. I hope that bridges of
Abhishek, what is
could you please repeat that? I lost you.
What is status quo in this?
Oh, status quo is just that they don't want to opt in, they don't want to opt out right now. We are just maintaining their session. So what happens is, if they say opt out, then immediately we stop the flow. So that 24-hour session window is also closed for them.
Okay.
In that sense, like just for that 24-hour session window to be still available, we say status quo, and we continue with the messages within the 24-hour session.
But it'll last only for 24 hours. So you keep it active for 24 hours.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
At what stage is this done? Like, at what stage should we collect this opt-in? Should this ideally be like probably the second message that we send?
So I think that so we wanted to do it right from the beginning, and that's what I feel that that's the good way to go about it. But some organizations felt that they wanted to do it after a few messages had been exchanged, so they did a set of registrations, like asking a few questions, carrying out a flow, and then sending the opt-in message. But so it's really up to how you want to place it. You can also do it after one conversation flow has been done, and all you'll can you go back to new contact workflow, Santosh? Screen.
So are there like a fixed number of messages that need to be exchanged before I need to send the first template message?
No. The template message.
Yeah.
For that, you just, after the first session window, you can send the template message. Basically, what happens is, if you're sending a template message, right, and the session window is open, then WhatsApp simply sends it as a session message. And
Okay.
yeah.
So a opt-in message is not, it's a third type of message. It's not like template or session. It's like a separate category by itself.
Actually, this is a session message.
Okay.
Opt-in is just the process for indicating that
Okay.
the users want to hear from you even after the session has ended.
Okay, understood. Okay.
Yeah. Can you click on this new contact tab, Santosh? Up top, new contact workflow. In your tab, can you change the tab? Browser tab, browser tab. Yeah, so see here how earlier I was talking about modularity of the flows, right? So I kept the opt-in flow as limited to opt-in process, and that's where we've connected all the flows. So in the first, as soon as the conversation starts, we're starting it with opt-in flow, and then language, where we are asking what language preference they have, and then a few registration questions. If you scroll down, what you can essentially do is you can even connect opt-in flow after this last flow, after this glyphic, or anywhere in between. That way you can, leverage the modularity and test out the things. So keeping it short and separate will enable you to like piece them together and like Lego pieces, right? So that way you can test out and place it where you want. Great. Any other questions on HSM and template messages and session?
So after the 24-hour window is over and you send, let's say, a HSM message to someone who has finished their 24-hour window, and then they respond to the message, can they come back to the workflow and continue, like, for example, whatever program is happening, they can continue from where it was?
Yeah, the flow and all is it remains. Just the switch between template and session happens. Everything remains, the flow remains the same.
So would it make sense for us to make more template messages than session messages?
Okay. So good point. Here, I would like to highlight that template messages and session messages have different costs.
Okay.
Session message is 7.5 paisa per message, but template message is like 5 times more of that. So they put in all the tactics and theories to, make it a much more, what do you call, moderated system. And so they increase the prices for that. But the good thing about template message is that once you get it approved, right, you can use it any number of times. It's not like each message has to be approved. So because template message is essentially a format, if we can continue with that and you can talk about it, Santosh.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. To create, I'll begin with creating the template message. So here, if you want to create a new template message for your organization, if you click the template message, it will show all the template messages interface here, which has been in the status. You can find which is approved and which one is rejected or pending. Everything it will be shown. For that, you have to create a new HSM template, and you have to input the language in the whether it is English, Hindi, anything. You have to click and title it. For example, if you're sending your user, it is a OTP template, means you have to enter the title it as OTP, and in the message session you have to use the variables. For example, if you're saying this is your and you have to use these variables, these two variables. In variable 1 you have to name it as OTP, and variable 2 you can make it as a movie ticket. For example, I will show you. Here, see here, it will be more clear here. You are saying that, hey, in variable you have adding 1, and in the sample message you are saying that 1 means the name, or whether it is a OTP, or whether it is a name that is called as variables here, and the category, or what category, everything. Just a minute.
Can we quickly pause? Sorry, Santosh, again, like let's take a quick pause and go to the language thing. So Naveen, multiple languages are available, but the thing is that you need to get the message approved in each of these languages. Like if you want to support the same message in multiple languages, you'll have to do that. However, the system does allow you to automatically send the message based on their language preference. So if they've selected Hindi, then Hindi template message will go. But for approvals, WhatsApp wants you to get each message approved separately in each language.
But in session messages, can we have a mixed language?
Yeah. In session message, you are translating, right? In the flows. So like we can quickly go back to the flows. And there you have all the languages available. So for each message, all you need to do is add that translation for that message, and rest of the things are. So if you click on Hindi, Spanish, anything. Yeah, see, Hindi message shows up because we have translated and added here. Click on Spanish or any other. So Spanish has not been added, which means that if somebody asks for Spanish message in Spanish, then they will probably get default Hindi or English, or actually default English message they will get. So you'll have to prepare the system for each of the messages.
But in English, say we say English and we copy the Kannada the Kannada word.
Yeah.
Will it still go?
Yeah. So if they have selected Kannada and you've pasted English, then English message will go. Okay. Is that what you asked? No.
Like for instance, when they say hi initially, we want to say hello from headstreams and in brackets in Kannada, for instance. So if we just copy the Kannada translation in the English text only, will it still go?
Oh yes. Like you have put it currently, right?
Yeah.
That is supported, and that's a good way because initially you want to be inclusive. Yeah.
But is that possible also in template messages?
So languages, yes.
No, mixing up languages like that.
Mixing up languages is possible. Again, we'll take a look at the best, the guidelines that they have. Ideally, I think one of the messages got approved, but you need to, if you want to predominantly make it an English message, then you have to select English language and then submit it. And I think I get it that probably you're thinking that you can send it as English, but have multiple languages in it, so you can send it to Kannada and English. Is that how you got it?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's a good way around it. I'm not 100% sure if they'll approve it.
Okay.
Generally, WhatsApp doesn't recommend that because if you have multiple languages, the approver may do not know another language. So we have very less chance to get approval on that.
Okay, thank you.
If English word is typed in Hindi or like in Devanagari, then will that be okay? The script is Devanagari, but the word is, for example, some common words which we use in vernacular languages also.
Yeah, that is okay.
Okay.
Yes,
script has to be fine. The script has to be Hindi or whatever.
Yeah, predominantly. Yeah, the language you're selecting is predominant one, and then they can be supplementary. Like a couple of words here and there will be allowed because you might, because that's more a colloquial thing. That's fine. Are there any questions in the chat box that we should discuss before we move forward? So yeah, I mean, for opt-in thing, then it automatically sends the messages based on the user's response. That's all. We can continue now.
Yeah, in the message and template message, you have to enter your content, and finally you have to enter the category, whether it is an shipment related template message or an alert related or payment related. You have to select the category over here, the drop down, and you can element name as OTP, whether it's a OTP anything you can name it, and you can also attach the attachments by clicking. You can attach the video, audio, and this kind of things, and you have to enter the URL. What I mentioned the previous session, that is attachment. You have to use the Google Cloud platform to enter the URLs, and finally, once it is everything is done, you have to submit it for approval. Okay, so usually it will take 48 hours to get approved from the WhatsApp side. Yeah, like I showed before, once it is approved, you can check the status over here. Okay, so if it is rejected, it will be shown as rejected. So that's the way to create a template message. Got it?
I mean, before moving, if you're moving forward, then can we, I have a few more things that I'd like to highlight on the template. Can we go back to edit or editing a template, please?
Yeah.
Great. So now you can see here that within message, when you type a message, it shows you on the right also, just as a preview of what the message will be. We are also launching, we'll be coming up with, because WhatsApp templates also allow you to have buttons. So up to 3 buttons, like here you say haan, nahi, and shayad baad mein. These 3 will come up as buttons. And so there are a couple of things that's happening in HSM template messages. These are highly structured messages. Now, what it allows you to do is create a template of a message in a way that you can include variables. You can leave a few things that you might want to configure specific to the audience and your content. Like here we are saying, hi, one, glyphic mein aapki ruchi, blah, blah, blah. So the one is our variable here. And as you can read below in the text, this is the format of a variable. Wherever you want to say that this part of my text is going to be, different for different users or different for different message. Let's say you want to send different course materials, right? So you don't need to essentially get a message approved for each of the course material. Because suppose you want to send one course material with different attachment or URL, right? In that case, you can make the URL itself a variable and just have a very generic message saying, hi, ye aapka aaj ka, study material hai, and enter that variable of the link. Then you can reuse it for different course materials as well. So in that sense, it gives you flexibility and scalability of messages. That's one on variable, and we can send you guidelines so that you can get more examples of what these template messages look like. And the second thing is the buttons itself. Templates allow you to have buttons like ha nahi, and you can the format for this is described below, where you have these square brackets. You enter the button text, like what you want within the button, and you can also have a value. So suppose you want to add a link to some resource, then you can enter that link, which will redirect the users by clicking on that. And it can and for 2 cases, they also allow contact us, so you can click on that contact us to call the number also. So these are some of the things that HSM templates also enables you to do. Can you scroll down here on the and this attachment type and attachment URL are optional. WhatsApp does not verify which attachment you have. They only look at the text message. Hey, sorry, I should explain the sample message first. So once you enter the text message here in the message, right? Scroll up a little bit more, please. Yeah, so when you enter the message here, what you want to essentially do is provide an example or a sample of that message, how it will look like when that, when that content is replaced. So here what we've done is, and the formatting is, provided right below. Replace variables, with, so that one brace, curly braces, has been replaced with bracket Shamoon, where the name of the person is, showing up. And so yeah, this is essentially for variables. Wherever you have used variables, you'll have to provide them with a sample or example of how you're actually going to use it. So some course material or some, of those resources will be required to be added. So that's about submitting the message. Attachment below is not really a mandatory thing. The attachment type and URL, that's something that you can do additionally, but WhatsApp does not approve or reject your messages based on attachments. And you can attach later also, like you don't need to have attachments below on the lower on the screen. Right when you're submitting it, you will be able to attach it later when you're sending it also, or editing it, or anytime. Yes. Any questions on this?
Where will that attachment URL will go when we send it to the beneficiary?
You mean it will be entered here and it will be redirected for the beneficiary to whichever content that is.
Okay. So as you said, the content remains same and we want to change the attachment, different attachment.
Yeah.
I'm a bit confused. Will this template message be added to the flowcharts?
Okay, great. So that's a good question, actually. So once the message is approved, you will go back into the flows and select. You remember where Santosh had shown you that WhatsApp tab, and we can look at it again. But so when you click on that WhatsApp tab in flows, then you will see these lists populated there. All the approved messages will show there. You'll just select it and set it.
So that has to be done manually.
That has to be done manually, correct? Because I mean, you will define which message to send at what instance, right? The only thing to remember is when you're setting up a template message in the flows, then you should not add any written text message along with it. So for that node or for that block, only the WhatsApp template will be selected. Oh, we can take a quick look at it. Can you go to flows here? Yeah, and let's go to activity only. Configure. So here, this is done wrong actually. The first message has WhatsApp template selected also. Click on the WhatsApp tab. Here, see WhatsApp is selected and click cancel now. But also, it also has a message and send template. So both have been selected. In that case, I mean, this is ideally, this is not how it should be formatted. Only the WhatsApp template should be selected and the WhatsApp template then goes to the user if both have also been added. So that's just a quick tip. All right, anything else before we move forward?
Abhishek, I had a question at this point. So we basically need to get the template message approved. Once it's approved, then fit it into the flow and proceed. So only after this, do we basically, like, our flow is complete to have a conversation with the users, right?
Correct.
So exactly. At some point, for example, if my flow is on and I decide to edit an existing template message, do I again have to wait for 24 hours before it gets approved and then it gets implemented in the flow? If it's like an urgent change that I need to make, is that possible?
Yeah, so WhatsApp, like templates need 48 hours to be approved. So they take 2 days, up to 2 days to get approved. Sometimes it can be faster also. Only WhatsApp knows how they work. But so you need to at least do it in advance of 48 days. So if it's urgent, I mean, yeah. So you need 48 days. Sorry, 48 hours. Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
In
that sense,
Abhishek, one doubt. What I was asking, so there are automated conversations through the flows, and the customization is possible only through template messages. That is what you're saying. You can't type in any message and just send it to the beneficiary, right?
Yeah, customization is possible in template message, but what are you comparing it with?
I'm saying that as we were asked, it has to immediately respond to the beneficiary,
Okay.
and that is not in my flow.
Okay.
Then can I just type in a message
Yeah,
and send that? That is also possible.
yeah. You have that in when we go to chats section, chats window, Santosh. You will see below at the bottom there is type a message. So you have a custom message option also. So this is where manual intervention becomes possible. So if you want to send message to Mohit saying something specific for their query that bot could not address, then you can do that here. You can just simply type in and send the message.
Okay.
I believe that's what you were asking, right?
Yes.
Okay, great.
And one more query. Is this custom message facility available within 24 hours window or even after that?
Sorry, please repeat that.
Yeah. So as we were discussing, templates message can be sent after the 24 hours window for the session message, right? Similarly, can we just send a custom message by typing in the message after that 24-hour window is over?
Oh, no. Custom message is not. Custom message and flow are in a way session messages only, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So template messages are considered as nudge messages.
Correct. Because you're messaging after 24 hours, just to bring the conversation back to life. Yeah.
Okay. One more question. Template messages and attachments which are in the flow are like we have to pay approximately 35 paise per message, right?
Template are 35 paisa per message. Session is 7.5 paisa per message.
And in session messages, if there are attachments in our flows, then those are also considered like those are charged as 35 paise.
Oh no! So those attachments are charged actually differently. So Gupshup has its own pricing for the size of the size of the attachment, and but the thing is like if you include it as a link, right? If you use Google Cloud Storage and include it as a link, then it doesn't treat it as an attachment. It just sends it as a text because it's in that case it's text, right? So then only the text message rates apply. Attachments don't apply.
Okay. And based on the size of the file, if it is not linked, the charges are different.
Yeah, based on the size of this thing, the charges will be different. So they have the pricing on Gupshup website. We can send link if you like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you show us an example of a button that you are speaking of?
Yeah, actually, so we can show, hang on, let me share a resource because we are yet to, prepare our interface and all for these buttons. The system is ready. We're just doing the final, thing to have the buttons ready. But meanwhile, what I'll do is I'll show you an example on a link. Just give me a moment. I'll paste that link here. Santosh, if you could open this in your tab, I sent it in chats. Yeah. Yes. So, and this is in fact the guideline also for the template messages. So you can, you might as well save this link. Can we scroll down? So this is how it works. Interactive session message. This is the format that it'll go. It has an image, it has text, it has these two buttons, track package and contact us. And this has this quick reply also. So that's the message title, yes, no, will confirm later, that way.
Thanks for that. Now, this 1, 2, 3, where is that saved? Where do we link that? What is 1, what is 2, what is 3?
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, that those are variables. It's like, so it says your train ticket number from here to here, right? Because for every person there, from location and to location will be different, and ticket number will be different. So so they've put it as variable. Now, this variable can be replaced with, you remember you saw on flows @result dot contact name. So that, I mean, the next step will be replacing this variable with that variable when you're actually sending it. So your train ticket number @result dot contact name.
Oh, okay.
Right. So then it will pick up all the saved entries, all the saved information, and just send it there in this message. Okay, does that clear? And from and to will also be just the location that has been stored in your database as variables.
And this OTP thing that is sent, is it also, I mean, can we also generate that?
You can, yeah, you can generate, but where exactly? I didn't get.
No, if for some reason we want
to
generate, is it a feature that's available in this itself?
Yeah, you'll have to be, I mean, you can send OTP messages from here, but where you're triggering it from, you'll have to just link it to that.
Okay.
Yeah, because and even when you created, I mean, when you created your account, you got an OTP, right?
Yeah.
So that was basically sent from your organization number only, and it was sent using this HSM template. So when you were doing your process of setting up the prerequisites on GupShup, we asked you to get that message approved also, remember? So that's what it was for. Okay, excellent. Anything else, guys? Folks, we can move forward then.
Yeah, okay, Abhishek. Yeah, and so far we have saw chat interface, flow interface, templates, and now I will move on to staff management. The main chat interface, if you see in the left hand side bottom, you can find a staff management icon. If you click that, you can find staff collection, staff management, everything. Okay. First, I will explain how to onboard a staff member for your interface. Okay. Yeah. So if you click the staff management, here you can see all your staff who are there in your organization. Those kind of information will be displayed here. Okay, to get on board, a staff has to send a message from his WhatsApp number to the organization's GupShup account. Okay, using the link, I'll show the link. Yeah, just using this link. Yeah, sorry, the link is not available. If you click the link, you have to enter all the mobile name, mobile number, user password, and click continue. And the staff will should enter an OTP. Once if it is click continue, he will be receiving OTP for the WhatsApp message, and the request will be sent once the user have entered the OTP. The admin will be receiving an request. So here in this place, the admin will be accepting the request. Okay, for that, I'll show you. Here there are two things. One is, yeah, see here we can change their access. For example, you can check this is, Abhishek is an staff, the mobile number, and he's an admin. If you want to change it as a staff, I will show you what are the limitations. The admin has all the access related to the platform. Manager means complete access to the platform except the settings and staff management. Okay, these are the two things. For staff, I will show you manually. Yeah, see here in the staff part. Okay. If you think that the staff has to message only for a particular collections, what I mentioned before, the collection means it's a group. The staff has to interact only with the selected group means you have to select the which group the staff has, you have to assign the staff. This staff has to contact with this particular collection means you can make the particular things. You have to check in this and you can make the things. And finally, you have to click this save. So once the staff is onboarded to your organization's flow, now you can create a collections. Okay, collections means what I mentioned before. It's a group. To create a new collection, if you click collection, the entire flow will be looks like this. So here there are already pre-created collections are here. These are the collections for your organization. If there is a different teams like HR team, admin team like that. So you can for create a new collection, you have to click on create new collection, and it will direct you to add new collection page. Here in the title related to what name it should be, you have to title it, and a small description about the particular collection, whether if it is a project collection, you have to what kind of project like that, you have to give a small description. Here in the previous thing we have saw how to onboard a staff member. Now in the collection you can input which staff member you want to be an admin like that. For this collection, if I'm clicking Guru Prakash means, so he will be assigned as a responsible for this chat contact for this collection. And if I click save, it will get saved. And once it gets saved, whatever collections you have created, it will be over here. In this place you can if you want to rename or edit or your thing, you can do, or if you want to delete, you can delete. And finally add a contact to the collection. If you need to add, but there will be a lot of contacts in your account already. For this particular collection, if someone is coming newly as a contact, if you want to add that particular contact to your particular collections means, you can do that. For that you have to click this icon, add contacts to collection icon, and check in the drop down, and here all the contacts will be available. So whomever you want to add to that particular collection, you can click and you can add that particular collection and click save.
Yeah, the only thing is like we'll recommend you to use the route on flows itself, because managing these contacts and collections might get out of hand when you're dealing with such large numbers. So whether you want to include some contact within collection or move them out of collection, I think we'll recommend you to use the automated version within the flows itself based on their unless like this is really required. In that case, you can come in and do it manually. But you earlier saw that based on the response 1 or 2, you were Santosh had created that flow collection that you move them to group 1 or group 2 and like that. So using the flows route is a lot better and a lot simpler and easier. Yeah.
Okay. So now I will explain you about another thing called trigger. That is also one of the feature in Glific. Okay. Yeah. If you want to start a flow with a specific contact in the collection, for in the scheduled date or a time means, you can create a new trigger. For that, you have to click create a trigger. Yeah. So here, what happens since you have to select the flow. What I mentioned before, there will be a set of flows. Whatever you have created will be visible over here. For that, you have to which flow has to be sent regularly. in the particular day or particular time. If you should have be developed here. If you think this flow has to send for my contact in this time, in this day, in monthly, like that means you can do it as a trigger.
Yeah, for example, if you're sending, let's say, 13 days of course material, or even if it's let's say corona something information sharing for 13 days, and you want to send a specific message at a specific time for the next 13 days, or 13 weeks, and one message every week. So that recurring and message can be set up here. So this is more of a hands-free and automated way to keep sending your message at a specific date and time.
Yeah. So you have to click the drop down and select which flow has to be sent, and you have to select, and finally you have to select the date. Yeah. If you open this, you will be getting this calendar option and end start date and end date, which means from this period of time to this period of time, the message will be sent regularly, and you have to choose the time, which time the particular flow has to be sent. And in the repeat option, you can select does not repeat, means it won't repeat. If you click daily, means there will not be any this select the days will be disabled. If you select weekly, means we have to choose this particular flow has to be sent in a week, which are the days it has to be sent. You have to click that. If you think this particular day flow has to be sent only on Monday and Wednesday at this particular time, means you have to check in these two things. And finally, you have to select the collections. Collection means this flow has to be sent for which collection. So in previous session, we have saw how to create a collection. There, whatever collections you have created will be visible over here. So here you can select the this flow has to be sent for this particular collection. So finally, if you click save, what will happen since this flow will regularly go at whatever date and time you have chosen. Regularly, it will start going. Okay. So that is trigger. So any doubts in this? So once you created a trigger, if you click a trigger in the trigger interface, it will be showing what are the triggers you have created. And if you want to edit, the same thing. If you want to edit or delete, or if you want to make a copy of that particular trigger, you can make it. So that's the trigger.
Is my understanding right that if we set a trigger, the first message has to be a template message only?
Yeah, good observation. So if you're sending that message, because trigger can be outside of template message, so you're right. In that sense, it's advisable that you start that message with.
Hello?
Yeah. Okay, should we move forward? Did I answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So now we have saw how to onboard a staff member to your account, and how to create a collection, and how to create a trigger. And so now I will show, mostly we have covered everything. So I will show from the chat interface how you have to use the things. In the chat interface, you can see the text option, text box option, and in the same place you can also do the attachments like image, video, audio files, and also URL. You also have the option of upload files. Okay, so here you can use this one. And the next thing is that so for example, if I say this contact is Mohit Sharma, here you can see a small icon. In that icon, there are different, if you want to view contact profile, you can do that from the chat interface, or else for this particular person you want to start a flow, means you can always do that. Start a flow instance, you would have been created a different flows and kept it. So if you think for this contact, if I want to select some flows, means just click on that, and if you click the drop down, you will see all the flows, so that you can select for that particular person which flow has to start, means that flow will start from at this particular time. This is flow option. Add to collection. If you think if this person is new to your organization, you want to add for some already pre-created collections, means you have to click that and you can search. So this person is already in these groups. If you think in this particular person want to be added in other groups which have been created, means in the drop down you can find all the collections which you have created will be visible here. So you have to check in and click save, so that from now onwards this person will be part of the collection you have selected. Okay, and these are the most of the things. And here in this part here you can find the chat box in the left right hand side, you can see all the contacts and you have the option of collections.
Yeah, basically you can start a message for that collection whenever you want. So this will help you send that message to all the people within that collection.
Yeah, and saved searches. If you want to, you can create a save searches. If you want to search whether it is a keyword, if you're from the attachments like that, you have to create a searches. To create a new search, create search, and you have to enter what kind of search description, in what keyword you want to search, and which staff member. Why? Because for the different collections and flows, you will be having a different staff members. For that, if you want to search based on the staff members, we can do it. So from which range, and for that, if you click save, it will get saved. And in the chat box, you can do that. You can search the top option. You can find how many messages came and which has not replied. Everything will be visible over here. And finally, there is an help document from a Glific. So in this help document, you can find all the informations related to onboarding, product features, and the flow related information. So the special collect sessions, everything will be coming here with the screenshots. So you can make use of this help document. Yeah. So yeah, these are the most of the things you have to look into while developing your flow for your organizations. Yeah. Any doubts here? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now I'll show how to send a template message from the chat box. Okay. In the chat interface, you can see a template option. If you click that, see here. If I'm clicking this one, I'll select this. So it will be asking for me as a variable name. Variable means here the variable is that, hi, please find the attachment below. Here I can mention the name also. If I click done, means see here in my template message, it will show that, hi Santosh, please find the bill attached bill over here. Like that, it will be shown here. So basically this is the variable. So if you want to add more variables, it can be more than 1, 2, 3 like that. If it is a movie ticket, this is the movie ticket. For the movie ticket, this is the OTP, like that. You can keep on adding the variables. While sending, you have to in the variable session, you select the particular thing. See in this template message, there are 3 variables. It says that your OTP for if I say movie and is valid for 2. Yeah. So all the variables will be inputted in the message, and you can send for the particular which contact you have to send. You have to select and you can send it that particular message. Yeah, so this is how you want to use the template message. Yes.
If we want to pick up that variable from a name or something, then how do we do?
Yeah, you can then replace that instead of, can you click on that again, Santosh? Then you can just replace it with @ results dot or @ contact dot field. here. You will enter that variable name which is used in the system rather than, exact name.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are the main things we have to look into while developing our flow for the organizations.
What are tags?
Yeah, tags. Yeah. So if you tags means, yeah, I'll explain. See here, there are already I have created a tags like child greetings like that. So where it will be visible means in the chat. If you see here, it will be shown as a greeting. Hey is a greeting. Okay. So I'll say it's a tag. Greeting is a one tag. For that, if I want to create a new tag means it can be anything. Just a minute. Yeah. Yeah. So it can be, yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Santosh.
Okay.
Yes, Santosh.
Yeah. So it can be a greeting tag, or it can be related to what kind of text it is. So if you want to create new tag, you have to click on the tag and you have to label it your tag, like create a new tag and yeah, the title and description and keyword and tag. Here there are tags like help, menu, language, support, like that. So based on your organization's flow, you can create your tag, and also you can change the language for your tag also. And finally, if you click save, the tag details will be coming over here.
Yeah.
So
it basically helps you, categorize the messages. And initially we thought that this will be useful for NGOs to, categorize whether somebody needs to address something important, right? So if important was labeled on all the messages, you could just simply filter and check it out. But now we've realized that that's not as frequently used of a feature as we thought it would be. Instead, people are really using labels within the flows. So if we can go into the flows, and that will help you also categorize and do it within the flows without having to do this manually. So if you click on activity configuration, configure activity here, scroll down a little bit, Santosh. See, it's added labels, right? So in the first message, we ask which activity do you want, visual arts, poetry, or theater? And then based on the user's response, we add a label. So just after wait for response, we add a label which signifies that we want to indicate these are the number of, these are the, this is what people are picking basically. And then this will help us generate analytics and so you can see 272 number here. So 272 people picked visual arts, 36 people picked poetry, and 10 people picked theater. But this is not the only analytics. This data gets also collected on BigQuery. So you can create these mappings. So we will recommend you to use as many labels wherever you want to generate analytics and report. Just add label there. So if it's age groups, right? So let's say I ask users, are you in the age group 1 to 10, 10 to 12, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40? Then I can create those labels and then create analytics later saying, how many people chose which options. So in that sense, labels really help you out to, and I think this is working so far fine for most of the NGOs to just label those incoming messages rather than using tags. And it can help you, measure the goals and behaviors So based on what people respond, you can create those analytics.
So two questions. One, if you click that 272, will you be able to see who the 272 are? And second, can you also message them, like if you need to send a message to those, is it possible?
Great. So both the questions are great. So here, clicking them will not show you. However, you will, because you can anyway see this data on BigQuery. So in BigQuery, you can filter out the number of people who had selected visual art. So you will be able to see who those 272 people are. And the second question is, you can't send a message to the people who selected visual arts right away. But if you scroll down further, Santosh,
Yes.
here you will see that we have used add to collection. So people who chose visual arts have been added to collection visual arts. Now you can send, once you have this collection, you can send a particular message to all the contacts within this collection. And that's what I was saying earlier, about automating it within the flows. And this way, all the people who went through this particular flow will get added to that, the collection where you've marked.
Abhishek, as part of this, will you also be taking us through Data Studio?
Yes. We'll do it on day 3.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Okay, awesome. I think that was the entire thing. The last thing, I mean, just on a small note, there's a simulator here also on the chat window, right corner. Anytime you want to test out flows, once you've published them, you can just click on this icon. It opens up the simulator for you. Then you can click on that drop down arrow next to the name Glyphic Simulator 1, and then just start a flow and test it out. Before, yeah, whenever you publish, you can test them out here. And other than that, I think we've covered all the features and a complete demo of the platform. Now, tomorrow we'll use all of these features. I know this was, quite heavy and there's so much that we explained. So tomorrow when we do a hands-on activity and set up our flows, I think most of the things will get really, really clear and internalized. So I'll only say that most the NGOs, if you want to go ahead and create your flows, at least to get a hands-on view. Even if your account is not set up, what we can do is probably we'll go into staging, and you can do a hands-on of for practice, right? So between today and tomorrow, if you want to create, like, just go ahead and create your flows, and we will practice putting them up into the platform. So we'll split into groups for each NGO, and we'll set up our individual conversations. Sounds good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Now, I think the final thing before we probably end today's session, I just wanted to do a quick, update on how for your workshop and Facebook setup. I know Headstreams has completed. I know. So if you want to talk about where you are, and I think we can, after that, we can wrap it up.
Abhishek, for us who are aware that Christina is the technical person who is handling this part,
yeah.
So is it okay for you to share your number where she can at least contact you on the WhatsApp or something?
Yeah, that's possible.
Great, thank you.
Abhishek, regarding Civis, so we are actually in the process of getting a separate WhatsApp number that we can use for this account setup and for Facebook verification. That process is taking a little time. We've been like in touch with the service provider, but it's just taking their own processing time. So I'm not really Antara is, I mean, we actually coordinating with Antara's account. So we're following up with them, but for now it's not gotten, we haven't yet got the connection. So I'm assuming that it will happen in this week, but I'm not too sure if it will happen tomorrow.
When you say connection, you mean just procuring the number, is it? Or something more than that?
Like we just need a separate number on which we can do this entire setup, because we need a separate WhatsApp number for the, right now we don't have a WhatsApp number in the name of the business, I mean the name of the organization. So we wanted a separate number for the Glific, for the Gupshup and the Facebook verification.
Okay, so you're procuring a new SIM for that, basically.
Right.
Do you have any other number that, any number that is left idle? You can use that also.
No, that's the problem. We only have like our personal WhatsApp numbers, which are all in use. So the requirement was that it has to be idle for at least a week. So we don't have any such spare number for now.
Okay, no worries. Cool then. So we'll just for you, we'll work on the staging then.
Okay.
And you can yeah, prepare those flows on the staging.
Also, Abhishek, what my understanding about the number is, we also procured a new SIM card, but then we did not downloaded WhatsApp using that number.
Good.
So that is right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Anybody face? Do you have any idea? Anybody face similar problem that we are facing?
So there is one organization called Stir Education. They had a challenge with the name, and what they tried is they tried with Stir Education only, but then even I think the letter casing created an impact for their name. So they had to really get it exactly the way the name was in their logo. So that's resolved for them. So you can try that again, but apart from that, yeah, they also had to try it a few times to get the number.
Okay. Sure.
Great. I think we've covered, right?
Just for information, a number can be changed later, no? If we add a number now.
Actually, you can change the number later, but we'll have to set up the entire. Actually, the system will have to be set up again with that number because it is linked, and you'll need a new Gupshup account and all of that. So, yeah, changing the number seamlessly is not really possible right now. Like retaining all of your data and everything.
And where is the data on this saved? The users opt-in, all that, where is it saved?
It's saved in your BigQuery. So we'll link your account with BigQuery on day 3, Naveen, and you will see all of your data being populated there.
Okay, and the mobile numbers of the people who opt in, we are not able to see the whole number, is it?
Yeah, so for most of the part, only the admin will be able to see, but that also you have to sort of go into the profile and activate. So for privacy thing, we've enabled, so those are dotted and covered, but you can go into the contact profile and then uncover those number and see the entire thing. But that also is available only to admin and manager, I think.
Okay.
Not staff, yeah.
And the staff or admin, they will be accessing this Glific account from the system, their system, right? Or not on the phone?
Yeah, system. We're like in the future, in maybe 2 to 4 weeks, we're also planning to make it a lot more optimized with the phone. So you will be able to use it. You can still use it, but the interface might look a bit
different.
But we'll optimize it soon for that.
Does the number need to be active all the time? As in, if the number is unreachable, will it stop working?
You mean as in? So it not really actually, because it doesn't work same as like 2 people interacting, and that's internet. So it really depends on the contact person's internet. Not for you. Not for you. The number actually will always be working.
Today we, tried to send the OTP for forgot password. I can see the messages on the dashboard of Glific, but we didn't get a message on the mobile, and it said some error for that. So I was wondering, is it because the number is not active at that time?
Oh, no. So you ideally should be getting that OTP message. We'll take a look at what might not be right. Yeah, we can resolve that easily. Okay. Hey, the last thing, and Naveen, we'll continue to basically resolve your opt-in thing. And for that, I would just recommend everybody to join us here on Discord. I pasted the link in the chat. This is basically the room or the channel where all the organizations are. I mean, this is where we support all the organizations, and you can reach out to us, message us anytime you want on the NGO support channel here, NGO support group, and respond to the query as soon as we can. So moving from here onwards, I think we'll recommend you can skip mails and all. You can just message us here. It's a lot more real time. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, excellent. So I think we can close today's session and reconvene tomorrow 10 a.m. Hey, also one quick check. Do you have invites in your calendar for tomorrow and day before? Just wanted to make sure that it was set up for
Only I got only for today's invite.
Yeah, even I have only for today.
Okay, that's strange because all right, the link is essentially the same, but ideally you should have received for both. What I'll do is I'll send it to you again then.
Okay.
However, the link remains the same.
Okay.
All right, folks, then talk to you all tomorrow. Meanwhile, please see if you can make progress on whatever the prerequisites and flows are, and we'll continue to power through for your setup.
Sure. Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you, Santosh.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Good to have you here. All right, then. Bye. Take care.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.